2 wildfires in telegraph.
We are TFR, Truth Frequency Radio.
This is not a valid menu option.
Condition orange. Situation delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal.
More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them.
Think for yourself. Question authority.
This is not a valid menu option.
This code has been compromised.
All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Wednesday. It is June 23rd, 2021. A lot of big headlines. John McAfee found dead in his prison cell. Britney Spears in court. The greatest. Well, we get a lot of court cases now, don't we? It's like O.J. Simpson's court case kind of made court cases a thing. I guess there's been many since, but everyone always thinks of O.J. Simpson when you think of the celebrity in the court case. But anyhow, all day, just all these headlines like there are every day. Some days they're bolder than others. But if you want to know more about those things, please tune in to my YouTube channel, GematriaEffectNews. Again, on YouTube, on also Odyssey, where it's backed up. But what I really want to talk about tonight and make this the theme of the show tonight. So if you want to call in tonight, and by the way, if you're on YouTube, I need to update the phone number on the screen for what to call into. But if you do want to call in tonight, please be on topic. Because the topic I want to talk about tonight, a lot of people would think it's not an adult conversation. It's only for little children. And that is magic real? Is there a real form of magic that is practical, that achieves results? If the purpose of magic is that a person is casting a spell, if you will, to achieve a result, is there a possible way to do this with what is known as occult knowledge? We're going to talk about this in light of what happened last night in the Phoenix Suns basketball game. If you think that sounds dumb, something that happened last night in the basketball game was there was a collision of players. One of the star players for the Suns busted his face, and then shortly after they showed him bleeding on the floor, the cameraman went right to a woman who was sitting in the very front row, the most expensive seats in the house, front row, with a T-shirt on of Steve Nash, a former star of that same team, and her picture was his face busted up in the playoffs 11 years ago, just like Devin Booker's face last night. And it's like, who wears a T-shirt like that? A former player's face just on there, all bloodied up and bandaged up after this collision in the playoffs, and then it happens to their star player last night, while she just happens to be in the front row, and this woman just happens to be the wife of the owner of the team. There's a lot more to this, and one moment here, but there's a lot more to this. Something that stood out if you watched this segment, not only did you see those things happen, which are just bizarre alone, but you might have noticed, if you have any occult knowledge of numerology, a number that might stand out to you is 322. When this happened last night in the game, there was 3 minutes and 22 seconds on the clock. And 322 was made infamous in some circles in the mid-2000s in our nation because of what was shown in the media that year through NBC's Meet the Press. with Tim Russert, who no longer walks the earth. But Tim Russert asked in back-to-back episodes interviewing George W. Bush and John Kerry. George W. Bush was the president at the time running for re-election, and John Kerry was the Democratic frontrunner who challenged him. But he asked them in back-to-back weeks, what was it about 322? Because they were both in Skull and Bones, this secret society at Yale, where the building number is 322. March 22nd, infamous date in history, Genesis 322, knowing good and evil, the tree of life. Again, in Gematria, if you write out Abrahamic religions, it equals 322. If you write out ancient mystery religions, it equals 322. The Abrahamic religions are based in the Torah, which begins with Genesis. Genesis 322 mentions the tree of life, which is the physical model for Kabbalah, where this whole letters and numbers thing comes from, Gematria. But Genesis 3:22 about the tree of life, about knowing good and evil, important number to this secret society, and a number that seems to be involved in so many important rituals. Last night, as this bizarre thing happens with Devin Booker, the clock just happens to be on 3:22 when it happens. And if you watch it, again, come to your own conclusions, but you can see they didn't even cheat on the clock. When his body hits the floor and the whistle blows, it's 3:22, boom, clock stops. And it reminds that what we were talking about on November 18th, 2018, was how that's the 322nd day of the year. And on that day, Alex Smith had a really gruesome injury. The quarterback for the Redskins at the time, who'd been with the Chiefs and the 49ers, the number one pick in 2005, taking over Aaron Rodgers, which is always a football controversy with the football historians, how that could have ever happened. But Alex Smith, he breaks his leg in this gruesome injury on the 322nd day of the year, and it's J.J. Watt on top of him, March 27th. J.J. Watt, the player on top of him, who had the force of the injury, his birthday is March 22nd, 322. And again, November 18th, the 322nd day of the year, similar to March 22nd because it's written 322, that has this numerical connection. Last night with Devin Booker and the bizarre injury, 322 on the clock. But the other thing was, it happened in week 11. Week 11 of the NFL season, in November, the 11th month, and Alex Smith wore the number 11. And when you write out 11 as a word, it equals 99 like Redskins, and J.J. Watt's number 99. And Alex Smith ended up making his first NFL debut exactly 99 weeks after his injury. We talked a lot about the 1199 thing with the Alex Smith injury and J.J. Watt, and then he came back by those numbers. But coming back to the Suns thing last night, the Suns in 11. Devin Booker, who got injured when he got taken out of the game with 3:22 on the clock to get his face worked on, they put up on the screen that he'd scored 11 points. And we've been talking about the Suns in 11 because they haven't been in the playoffs in 11 years. And if you look up the actual sun, science says that the magnetic poles shift on the sun every 11 years. That movie, Knowing, about how all the dates and everything that are coming are known already if you know the code. If you haven't seen the movie Knowing with Nicolas Cage, no matter what you think about Nicolas Cage, just take the time to watch that movie Knowing. It's where Hollywood gave us a whopper of a clue of what's going on in this world. But that movie's about how this big shift is coming with the sun that's going to greatly impact life on Earth. And again, you just think about the World Elite and Agenda 21 and 2030 and how they're planning and operating by a code. But, they know a lot about things in this world that most of us don't know about. We don't know about the true cycles of the sun and how that impacts humanity over centuries. Organizations that and networks that have existed for all these times, they track this information. Most of it's not taught to us in our slave school. But the point I'm making is there's a class of people, the rulers of this world, who know a lot more than we, the common folk. They have this occult knowledge. They have this passed down knowledge from the societies that they belong to. And anyway, we, the common folk, when it comes to magic, we're taught that, that's the stuff that's fun and part of the old superstitious past, and it's great for movies and books and, Disney and magic. I mean, all of us were very aware of the idea of magic and magical spells and people being under spells and, all the people under this evil queen or witch being under a spell until the great hero comes along. We got all these stories as children about magic and spells and people being under the influence of it. And I got to admit, again, without knowing anything really about the occult, I saw there was something to numbers in 9/11, and I started to think that maybe magic was real. I've had this idea in my head since I was 18 years old. But, how do you prove it? If you don't understand magic, how do you prove that magic's real? It just seems like you're observing something and you don't know how else to put it. To me, after 9/11, it felt that magic was real because I couldn't believe how almost no one, it was close to no one, was questioning the events of 9/11. And almost everyone was reacting the same way from me questioning. They were getting mad and angry and calling me names and telling me to leave the country. And I was just like, whoa. The reason I'm questioning things is because, I plan on living in the country, but there's some stuff that's gone on here that might be real important about where we're heading if this is a lie. And nobody could handle that. I wish YouTube existed when 9/11 happened. I probably would have had a YouTube channel then because I needed somebody to talk to. And again, 9/11, New York, the 11th state, the buildings that look like massive 11s, the World Trade Centers that were 110 stories tall, 110, starting with 11 like 11, flight AA11, the first plane to crash in the building. What is AA in Gematria? A is 1. B is 2, so AA is 11. And again, just 11, the master number. How did somebody, 1,000 or so years ago, much longer ago, back to Babylon, how did somebody or a group of people eventually realize that there was a reason to call 11 the master number? Remember, all roads lead to Rome. We're talking about how the language, the calendar, it's all after Rome. The calendar is synced up with Jesus. The sun has an 11-year cycle. In Gematria, Jesus equals 11. So does Pope, Anyhow, 11s, the powers of these numbers, using these numbers, knowing how to use these numbers. Remember, all these occult teachings, Hermeticism, one of the 7 Hermetic principles is the law of vibration. Everything has a vibration, and if you can understand that vibration, essentially, if you can harness that vibration, you can use it to your advantage. Hermetic principles always also talks about how in the world you're either the influencer or the person being influenced. And realize the majority of humanity are people being influenced by influencers who have power over this occult knowledge. I mean, look at all the people in the world who watch the TV, believe everything that's on there, and, live under its influence. That's how they make their decisions, through the information they get on the TV. That's the majority of humanity right now. Well, I don't know if I should say the majority. It's a huge chunk. It's close to half. It's not the majority. I'm going to retract that statement. It's not the majority, but it's close to half, which is very dangerous alone. It should be a very tiny amount of people that are just trusting the TV fully at this day and age after all the decades of terrible lies that have led to all sorts of things, racism, hatred, wars. I mean, the media has been there to instigate it all along the way. But again, you look at these things that exist, technology. Is magic another thing? Are they using all of these things, people who really understand, who have mastery of the 7 Hermetic principles, who actually could tell you? See, me as someone who studies this and figures out the patterns and attempts to predict what will happen next, and again, to my credit, and a lot of people would agree, does a good job with this knowledge accurately forecasting what's coming next. And we've proven it in so many areas, from elections to news stories, to celebrity death, to stock market, to crypto, to sports, again and again and again and again and again. So again, it's not that we are looking from the outside in and recognizing the pattern and saying, okay, this seems to mean this in their language, so we can expect that they'll do this on the next day because this is the way they're speaking, this is the way they're operating. But is there something else even greater than this? Is there a force that helps manipulate outcomes? For example, again, This woman, the wife of the owner of the Phoenix Suns, decides to sit up front in a t-shirt of a bloodied basketball player's face from 11 years ago. And then her star player with 11 points in the game smashes his face and starts bleeding from it and has to be removed from a considerable period of time, probably while they're dressing up the wound. But again, just the way all of this unfolds. Has anyone in their life ever seen a t-shirt like this, brought attention to in any sports game? I can't remember. I mean, maybe it has happened somewhere, but I've never seen anything like this. I don't know. And we did a show on this earlier today. Nobody else mentioned that they've seen anything like this. But tonight, when you call in, things we're going to talk about, you should be talking about if you're calling in. Is magic real? And again, the definition being, is there knowledge in this world, like understanding laws of vibration and how to use numbers and dates and language and words, spelling, to strategically achieve outcomes, or essentially put something out there that makes other people fall into the trap so they get the outcome they want? Because clearly something, and again, if you guys have not seen the clip of this injury and you want to watch how it unfolded, please do a web search. Devin Booker, Devin space Booker, Devin Booker, Phoenix Suns, nose injury. And just scan through a few clips. I mean, people document it all over the web. If that is acting, I mean, that is superb acting, and maybe that is why these guys are paid $30-some million a year to play basketball. It's like, these guys are the best actors in the world if they can pull that off by the numbers, man. Because, I mean, that looked like a legit, actual injury. Just one guy going one way, another guy juking him, and then their heads smash. And, yeah, but again, then just the fact that, because, again, if you watch this last night, after they're showing both of these guys go off the court with bleeding heads, just shortly after that, they pan to the sideline, and a woman's wearing a T-shirt that they focus on her with a former star who's now a coach who just got his nose popped in the playoffs, Steve Nash, from 11 years ago. And I saw some people leave a comment to the video. I still got to verify it myself, but they're saying that happened to Steve Nash on May 6, 5-6. Remember, Phoenix Suns equals 56 in the most pure cipher. So, anyway, there's so many important things with this knowledge. If you want to know the latest that's going on with Bitcoin, more proof that it is a Jesuit-controlled coin, beyond a shadow of a doubt, again, check out my YouTube channel. Watch the content we put out today about John McAfee. He's dead 87 days from his upcoming birthday. He's dead on the 174th day of the year. In Gematria, number of the beast, when you just use the alphabetic order, it's 174. When you use the rules of numerology, it's 87. 174, 87. Number of the beast. He's dead on the 174th day of the year, 87 days from his birthday. And again, we see a lot of these number of the beast rituals in the world of big tech, which we've documented. I have a book documenting these type of patterns. I go, after Bill Gates in a big way. Bill Gates equals 87, just like number of the beast. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, number of the beast is 258, just like William Henry Gates, his full name. And his dad died last year on the 258th day of the year, and he set up his vaccine alliance on the 258th day of his age, July 12th, 1999. But anyway, on the 174th day of the year, 87 days from his birthday, number of the beast numbers, this ritual happens. He's a computer guy, John McAfee, antivirus. And remember, in Sumerian Gematria, where A is 6, B is 12, C is 18, D is 24, just counting the alphabetic order by 6. When you write out computer, it is 666. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse with the Sumerian Gematria, internet is 666. Apple priced their first consumer computer at $666, 666. So, number of the beast is clearly associated with computer in Gematria. This guy dies in a number of the beast ritual, found dead in his jail cell. They even make it suspicious in the headlines. And again, it's just par for the course. More number of the beast computer stuff. And again, what's interesting is how vaccination is 666 in Sumerian Gematria. And again, the pandemic we're living out was simulated May 15, 2018, exactly 666 days before the pandemic was declared March 11, 2020. And Bill Gates is front and center. Bill Gates has the Number of the Beast connection. I was just telling you how Vaccination 666, his full name's Number of the Beast. His vaccine alliance set up on the Number of the Beast date. Bill Gates got his vaccine this year, supposedly on his 87th day of his age. Bill Gates 87, Number of the Beast 87, Vaccination 666, part of the Cladex simulation that was 666 days before the pandemic was declared 11/3, March 11th. And don't forget, Cladex equals 113, just like coronavirus pandemic 113. And don't forget, it was declared from Switzerland. We're locking down on the orders of Switzerland, and you don't think there's a new world order? I mean, come on. But how much power and influence do these people have because of this knowledge? This is the conversation we're setting up tonight. These things they're doing, these things that are forgotten to the masses, who the masses now have you see, the masses don't care to learn about any of this. They think it's all nonsense because they learned in slave school that this is all old world crap. Only an idiot would ever consider that magic's real. This is all hocus pocus nonsense. There must be something wrong with you. I mean, this is the problem with society. It's like you can't have a conversation because everyone's already made up their mind. They learned it all in slave school when they got their diploma and they started flipping burgers or working the corner. I can't believe some of the people sorry, man. Nothing wrong with flipping burgers or working the cashier, stand at the corner. All of that's great, but just some people, even just like, it's like, okay, don't... Some people, like, even in those positions, are so arrogant and think they know everything. It's like, come on, man. Don't you realize you don't know everything? Otherwise, you'd probably be doing something rather than flipping burgers. Maybe you really like flipping burgers, but it's just like all classes of people, too, The people who can see, they come from all different classes. The people whose minds are shut down and they just shut off to everything. It's just like, you see that it's beyond any demographic. They're just in so many people, it's the same symptoms. They think they know everything. They don't even take the time to think about anything. Everything is just ridiculous. And some of us in our lifetime, because we've gotten to be old enough or seen it happen, we have seen some people change. I always remember, after Katrina, I was super suspicious of Katrina, and I was starting to wonder. I was like, man, is there something do they have some kind of influence over weather? And I thought, I was doing some research. There was information, of course, out online. And I just remember sharing that with some people, even including my mom, who my mom always knew that 9/11 was a lie. But my mom thought, oh, military having any influence with the weather. She thought that was just the most crackpot thing ever. But now she totally has changed her mind. Now she thinks that definitely is what's going on. And, it had people, my mom probably woke up to that. It's been a while now. She probably woke up to that at least 5 years ago, if not longer. And again, if the rest of humanity had woken up to that 5 years ago, man, we'd still even be a lot further ahead. So, anyhow, I'm babbling right now, but let's take our first call. And speaking of which, let me do my job over here on my end. I always have to load up a digital call board, and then that's where I can answer the calls from. And by the way, if you want to call in tonight, 213-233-3998. That is the call-in line. There's a ton of people on hold. So even though I don't have the right number up there, people are phoning in. But let's go out to Hawaii first. And Hawaii, again, just if you could touch on, is magic real or not? Why you think, what you think, undecided, what you've observed, that would be great. And then if there's anything else, maybe just one more thought or question. So, Hawaii, thanks for calling in tonight. 808, you're up.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you for calling in.
Hi, this is Holly.
Hi, Holly.
I would say that you're on the right track, but what they're doing is they're worshiping Baal, B-A-A-L. And actually, it's not. They don't consider it magic. They consider it worship. So, what they're doing is they have these rituals that they're doing in order to achieve certain things, but it's actually worshiping the devil. So that's my tip for the day. And aloha. Thank you.
Oh,
Aloha.
hey, I'm so glad you just made that point because, again, the Templars in history were accused of worshiping Baphomet, and the Jesuits have the Templar cross, and Baphomet's the symbol for the Satanic Church. And the other part of that thought when you were just saying that, it'll come back to me. I forgot my thought right there. I lost my train of thought, but I am glad you brought that up because there was a point I meant to make about that. So, shoot. Well, thank you so much, Holly. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs, and actually, you might even want to change the subject for tonight.
Well, these things need to be brought to light. So people have to wake up to what's going on. But I do appreciate your observation. So thank you so much. I know what I wanted to say. Okay. You know the big video game company, Blizzard? They make the World of Warcraft that, set all these video game records. I remember reading articles about how many people were playing that game at once, and I was just imagining, I was like, wow, 20 million people playing a game at once worldwide. That is so many people. But they have a new game coming out that's a remake of an older game that's Diablo, the word for devil. And they gave the release date of that game on the day leaving 201 days left in the year, because that was a big anticipation in the world of that gaming community. But I caught wind of that. The devil video game on the day leaving 201 days left in the year, the big number with the Jesuits. And the day that they announced it's coming out, so they announced on the day leaving 201 days left in the year when it's going to come out. It's September 23rd, 23/9, like 239, the 52nd prime. Devil's 52. Diablo's the Spanish word for devil. Remember, Pope is 52. And the Pope, when he spoke in D.C., September 23rd, 2015, that was the day he took the podium there in D.C., but that was also the 266th day of the year, and he's the first Jesuit Pope.
From the dawn of man, we have turned to nature to help attain balance within ourselves. CBD, the non-psychoactive component of the hemp plant. That's why more and more people who use CBD report relief from inflammation and chronic pain, balanced blood sugar and cardiovascular system, relief from muscle tensions, tremors, migraines, headaches, anxiety, depression, and the list goes on. The big question is, where do you get it? iLife is a 99% pure CBD oil made with all organic ingredients, and it's available to TFR listeners worldwide. If you use coupon code TFR at checkout, you'll get $5 towards your order. Head on over to iLife.com now. That's AYA life.com.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
True initiation is an inward journey. It's a spiritual path that is totally inward. It has nothing to do with anything external to you.
I want to determine if the grand architect is indeed what I believe it to be, which is the artificial intelligence.
The initiatory path is one of self-discovery and self-revealing. It's not a journey that someone can hold your hand through.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take you through the steps of initiation. Remember, you are divinity.
Step beyond the veil with Chris and Sherry Geo.
Fridays and Saturdays.
7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR Frequency Radio.
All right, we're back, Truth Seeker. It's that part of the show where we're going to go to Rambo. But before we do, I just want to chime in about this. Again, this Blizzard is this huge video game company. I think the two biggest video game companies in the world, if I'm not mistaken, are Electronic Arts and Blizzard. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're one and the same company now. But, I mean, they're just like, they're the ones that put out all these stats. It is amazing, like... Entertainment is great, but you see the entertainment, man, just like people... I don't know. I think maybe that should be part of our upbringing too, is that, you know, entertainment is great, but part of your life, it really is important to have like some kind of civic duty or doing something to make your community better. Because, I mean, how many people never spend a minute of their life doing that, but countless hours with entertainment? But anyway, this video game is supposed to be a big video game this year. Diablo 2, the remake. It's put out by Blizzard. And people have been waiting on this release date, and then they announce it on June 13th, which is the day leaving 201 days left in the year. Big Jesuit number, right? The wolf in sheep's clothing. The ones that claim to be the Society of Jesus. But then the thing is, it's not only that, it's the fact that they're putting it out on September 23rd, which again is 23/9, like 239, the 52nd prime. Pope is 52, Devil's 52. The Pope spoke in D.C. on that day in 2015, the 266th day of the year. He's the 266th Pope. The Jesuit motto, Isus Hominum Salvator, equals 266. You know the Jesuit logo, that's what the IHS stands for. But yeah, just what are the odds that you know, this big video game about defeating the devil, that's what we need to do. Whenever I do my live streams on the corner, I always laugh because you're logging into the Twitch platform and there's like these, it shows like the top streams going. These guys got 100,000 plus people watching them play video games. And it's like my live stream on the corner for a while there, it was like getting up to 300 people. But most days it's just like around 120. And I get it, man. I'm on the corner doing the same thing over and over. It might not make for the best video, but I'm trying to inspire people to get out and stand up in their community. And some days I'm out there, I'm like, should I just be in front of a computer playing a video game talking about gematria if the point is to reach people? Like, I'm trying to do it out in public, but man, maybe that's the way to get an audience of 50,000 to 100,000 people. Maybe we should play this game. We should defeat the devil and teach about all the 201 rituals. I don't know, man. It's just like, I don't know how to reach people anymore. I tried to go down to the corner in Seattle the other weekend. Did you see what happened? As soon as I got down there, before I even got on the megaphone, a guy comes up to me right away, and he goes, I see you got that bullhorn there. I hear you say anything out of that. I'm going to be out here with my loudspeaker all day, drowning you out. And I'm just like, okay. I haven't even said anything yet. I just showed up on the corner. Of course, I announced the day before that I was going to be there, but he was true to his word. As soon as I got on the megaphone, man, he was like 30 seconds behind me. He had his whole table and his computer set up and this huge speaker that, like, you know, could drown out every other sound in the whole Pike's Place market. I mean, I was just like, okay, what in the world, man? But, and again, that's what they did to us last time, too. They just played pop music because then it drowns you out and it cuts off your stream and you get copyright, and it's just like, man, how are we going to reach people this day and age? It doesn't seem that I can do it on the corner unless I just haven't been doing it right. But censorship, I mean, you guys, besides just talking about magic tonight and whatever Rambo's going to teach us, where is the action? Does anybody have a plan to act? I mean, we got to do something, you guys, even if it's just looking out for your own interest, but there are a lot of signs right now that something is way off. So even video games like this that people just can't wait to play, and they'll never get the little joke with why it's coming out on that date and why it was announced on that day. So with that said, let me get Rambo on here. And well, where did Rambo go? Let me see. Well, we might not have Rambo right now. So. All right, well, until Rambo returns, we will take calls. And again, the topic of the hour is magic. Is this real? What are we witnessing here beyond just the sports? But it seems like with sports, certain times they're trying to flaunt and show us that there is something to symbols, like a woman wearing a face on her shirt of a busted up Suns basketball player from 11 years ago. And then again, Devin Booker, with 11 points scored in the game, busts his face up at the most curious of times. And again, it is magic more than just entertainment in Disney movies. So take calls on that. And again, if you can keep your call to 1 to 2 minutes, that would be awesome. And let's go out to Michigan first.
Hey, good evening, Zach.
How you doing?
How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Great. Yeah, that was my friend Holly. I invited her on last week. I'm glad she got back on again. Anyway, you know, the magic thing, for me, I agree with what Holly said and you. I don't believe in magic per se. I always heard as a kid, that like voodoo only worked on people that believed that it was working on them. And I've never been, had a fear of that kind of stuff. So I don't really believe that. I know these psychos are, doing rituals and stuff, and I don't know what kind of effect it has, but I personally don't believe that they can affect me with their magic. Maybe they can affect, some people, but I don't know. It's kind of like that voodoo thing,
Did you see what happened? Did you see what happened in last night's game by chance?
No, I don't. I stopped watching sports when I learned. Actually, when I learned that the NFL owners were tax exempt, and it was right after I boycotted the NFL when that guy on ESPN came out after that black guy, that NFL guy beat up his girlfriend or something, where he pistol whipped her or at the bar or something like that, and that NFL or that ESPN clown came out on TV and said men shouldn't own guns, and so I boycotted the NFL. Then I found out about the owners being tax exempt, and I just started finding more and more. And then I learned about you and Gematria, and I was like, okay, I'm done, completely. I am finished. And I wasn't that big of a sports guy. My brothers and my dad used to watch all the games, hockey and football and basketball and baseball and golf and, that's everything that came on the tube. And they participated in all that stuff. I played a little football, played some baseball, played a little hockey, but I wasn't like my family was fanatics about it. And but yeah, I'm so glad that I found you and I learned the truth. And my brother always said that the zebras, who my brother is, he calls the the refs or the umps or whatever on the field the zebras, and he always said, even as a kid, the zebras are controlling the game,
Always.
Him and my dad and my brothers, I'd laugh, but I saw that was what was going on,
You have to be blind to not see
so anyway,
it.
you've been writing. You enlightened me and my brother and I'm starting to bring other friends on. You had a guy call in from Iowa last week, or Idaho, and I know that guy from some calls that I get on, and I invited him, and he came on, and you went to him, and he asked a question. I can't remember what it was. So I'm bringing people to your cause. So I love what you're doing, and can't wait to hear more.
Okay, and I gotta give you a piece of feedback on the way you said something, because it just reminded me about programming. The story about the NFL player, if you go back and look at that, that was one of these rituals, shamings by the numbers, and it's hard to know what's really going on behind these things, but all these stories come out by the numbers, and they're so often making it look like these black men in the NFL are dangerous men who are violent people who beat women and sell drugs, and they have a story like this almost annually with an NFL player. And it does seem to get worse with time. But again, when you describe that story, you said the black guy from the NFL who pistol whipped his girlfriend. Again, that's the programming in your wording, though. If you listen to it, because I bet you wouldn't have emphasized white guy if it was a white NFL player story. You know what I mean? And that's in almost everybody's language. I know you didn't mean anything by that, and you're a great guy, but I'm just saying that's what happens in our language because of the way we take on these stories, and that's why they give them to us annually, because they build up in our system.
Well, if I may, I really would have said if it was a white guy, I would have said it was the white guy, because that's just who I am. I have black friends.
Okay, fair enough.
You're very dear to me, and I am not. I grew up in Detroit, and in the suburbs, and kind of moved away during the riots, and I was real little, but still, I don't see color. I see character. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that was long before I knew anything about gematria and the programming and all that. So absolutely, I was programmed, but still, again, honestly, if it was a white guy that I had heard about, I would have said it was a white guy.
Fair enough. Fair enough. No, well, my mom's not racist at all, but whenever she talks, she doesn't mention anybody's race when she talks about people unless they're black. She'll always specify if it was a black woman or black. I'm like, do you realize that you only specify people's race if they're black? And she's like, I was like, you do. I just think it's something about just all the programming in the news, just so much focus on race, but I know you meant well, and I had to make a point about it, because the programming gets all of us. But I appreciate you, friend, and thank you for your call.
Thank you.
All
See you, brother.
Yeah, you have a good night. Okay, let's go out to Bart in Chicago. What's the latest, Bart? Uh-oh, he might be working.
Hello?
Oh, he's
no,
there.
I'm here.
Yeah, what's up, Bart?
Yeah, I'm here. I just dropped somebody off, gave him a little gematria lesson. We were listening to your show. And, I totally, like you wanted everybody to keep it short. I'll definitely keep it short. I do believe in magic and casting spells on people, and I do believe they do that through the television. That's why they call these companies, American Broadcasting Company, National Broadcasting Company, because they're totally casting spells on people. Here's for example, there was one time that Trump got COVID by the numbers. Allegedly, he got COVID from his assistant, Hope Hicks. And I was just listening to the story while doing something, and I kept hearing the name Hope Hicks. And I'm like, why am I starting to hear Hocus Pocus?
Sure.
And then sure enough, I put Hocus Pocus and Hope Hicks in the Gematrinator. She matched 2 out of the 4 ciphers.
Huh. Go figure.
And I was like, look at that. Look what they're doing. They're casting a spell. And they do it because they do it, subconsciously, subliminally. And they're getting to that deeper part of the brain where people don't even realize what they're hearing. Like, I heard it because I kind of have a trained ear for stuff like that. But yeah, definitely they're doing it. They're doing it every day through the television. I could even tell you stories. I have a cousin that's a lot younger than me, because my aunt had him pretty late in her life, and since they were always busy working, they would always shove him to somebody's house and put him in front of the and that person didn't want to really, kind of deal with him, so they put him in front of the television. And there's many times that I saw him, he looked like he was under a spell, because that's what the television does. It puts a hypnotic trance to put you under a spell. So that's all I got.
Well, Bart, I just got to reiterate. I learned about the power. I was in my early 20s when I realized the power of the television, and it was working at a group home where I was watching all these children be over-medicated for all their behavior disorders, and I just realized the only time they could all just sit there and be quiet and was just in front of the TV. I was like, look how the TV just will keep them right there. If they weren't there, they're like tearing apart their room up to all kinds of mayhem. But the TV, they'll just sit there and just stare at it. And I was just like, look at that. I mean, there's these kids are like on tranquilizers and they still run through walls. But the TV, man, it'll just chill them right out. So. Yeah, because it puts them into that, I think it's the delta phase, where you're under like the spell. It must not work on some of us. But I don't think it ever worked on me because I never really liked the TV. So. Yeah, same here. I guess there's some of us that just don't care about it. I do with the TV the same thing you do is basically to decode it. And I just did a live a couple of days ago. I think it was last week, where I decoded a commercial, which is the Travelers commercial, and it's their motto is it's better under the red umbrella, and they're showing this commercial like 500 times a day, and I'm like, there's something about that. So once again, use the Gematrinator, use that knowledge. You put in red umbrella, and you put in vaccination, match all 4 ciphers. Huh. So they're casting a spell through geometry, because they're what you always talk about. There's that vibrational frequency that when you assign a number to a word or a phrase, it has that hypnotic vibration spell, I guess. It's not something like that. I believe it. Yeah, it's something like that. That's been my working theory for a while now. So. Yeah. Yeah, but it was incredible what they did. I mean, I didn't see it. I watched your video, but I was like, wow, look at that, man. How do they do this? How do they get away with it? I don't know, but they do it. They do it every day. They do, and they do get away with it. Well, I appreciate you, Bart. Keep up the great work, friend. I appreciate you. All right. Thank you. You have a good night. All right, let's go out to North Carolina. North Carolina, you're on.
Hey, Zach. How's it going, man?
What's up, man? What do you think about this magic thing?
So, I mean, I think it's legit. I think we can just kind of look back at, for confirmation, we can look back at the Salem witch trials, and the Crusades for that part. Rome knows that magic is real. They probably, they have all the secrets, and they sacked the Temple of Solomon and all of that stuff. So I think they know how to use it, and I think that they harness people's energy through entertainment and sports and rituals like we saw, and the lady who mentioned ball, I think that's very possible. And Gematria is definitely a part of it. And I think we're operating with just a piece of the puzzle, and we got to keep digging. And so I appreciate your work and everybody else. And that's about it, man.
All right, man. Appreciate the insight. You have a good night.
Yes, sir. Right, you too.
Yeah, and I don't know, but I'm imagining that if more people were aware, if they are casting some kind of energy that makes people fall under their, become complicit with their agenda, which it seems to be how they're operating. If people were aware of this, I think that would break the spell. That's my thought. Anyhow, let's go out to 510. What's your thought about tonight's topic?
Yeah, I believe in magic.
How come?
I believe it's real.
Why?
I wanted to touch on Skull and Bones in 322.
Okay.
far as the story goes that in 322 BC, the Greek orator Demosthenes, saying it's Demothenes. He died, and with him the Greek goddess Elogia, known as the god of eloquence, went up to the heavens. Her activity was over until 1832, when Skull and Bones Society was founded at Yale. And the goddess Elogia descended from the heavens and took up residence at the tomb at Skull and Bones. And the members are encouraged to steal things like the skulls and bones of famous people, and they actually have license plates and skulls displayed at the tomb.
That makes a lot of sense. I've always talked about the ritual with Geronimo's skull and Prescott Bush, and how they use that riddle for the year the Nationals beat the Astros in the World Series. So these are definitely things that they are doing, and you can prove it with this knowledge.
Yeah. So I don't think a lot of people knew about the goddess Elogia, and the fact that he's a orator, which is a public speaker, and if you think about Skull and Bones and Yale, a lot of public speakers, a lot of people in high places like senators and presidents come from there.
Right, and the Greeks wrote the New Testament, the Christian section of the Bible, and Revelation 13:18 about 666, the number of the beast, the number of a man. That's what was known as a Greek isopsophy riddle. Isopsophy is the same thing as gematria. It's just the Greek word for it rather than the Hebrew word. So yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, and Yale has a big three as far as secret society. Skull and Bones is the oldest, but they also have Scroll and Key and Wolf's Head.
Very good. Very good. All that needs to be investigated.
Anderson Cooper, I believe, is part of Scroll and Key.
Huh. Go figure. Yeah. Well,
yeah, that's all I have.
Appreciate it.
Great show, Zach.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Callers, they're doing a great job. Let's go out to Florida. Florida, how are you?
Hey, what's up, Zach? Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on?
Not much, man. I'm Armchair on YouTube. Hey, I want quick decode, man. Yes, of course, I believe in magic. I just did a quick decode on GematriaEffectNews. But yeah, the Batman series features the Court of the Owls. They're the new supervillain. It's kind of like mocking us because it's called the Court of the Owls, and the real life is the Bohemian Grove that worship the owl. But the ciphers break down to 167, 50, 130, and 58. But really kind of, but it doesn't. I'm not really seeing how it line up a lot of things. Maybe when I do more, because I've been trying to find out what Court of the Owls kind of lines up to. Because I'm like, this is kind of like them telling us a fiction. What the whole, mocking the Illuminati in fiction, just like in the new Hitman video game, you fight, the main villain is Providence, and they call it the Illuminati parody, the fans of the show, fans of the video game. But then you have, magic kind of lines up to be 33, and if you do magic with a K, 44, magic with an A, Magica, like Magica, and most of the things, a lot of games like Skyrim and also Blizzard, Warcraft, yeah, Magica is 45. In Star Wars, they have the Force. The Force equals 80. And then also it lines up with Jedi, which is the main person that uses the Force. A reverse ordinal is 80. Jedi equals 80. And so I'm a slave in the Army. U.S. Army equals 38 in reverse reduction. Soldier 44, Private 44, Officer 44, full reduction. Major 33.
Hold on, you gotta do the
Stormtrooper.
Hold up,
Private and
it's just too random tonight, man. But I appreciate the call. Keep up the good work, man. But yeah, about his Officer 44, he's just all over the place. If you're gonna call in and drop a list of numbers and say I don't know what they mean, what are we even doing, man? Let's get our mind together when we call into the show. Here's a list of numbers I don't know what they even mean, but hey, I'm just reading them off on the show tonight, whatever. But Officer, remember, military 44. Soldier 44, infantry 44, trooper 44, officer 44. What are they all trained to do? Kill 44, execution 44. So many 44 rituals with the military. And anyway, appreciate you calling in, man. But also, you guys, again, just nobody even knows. Again, we're trying to have a topic here, right? What are your thoughts on magic? Calling and say, yeah, I believe in magic, and then going into some decode about something we're not talking about is not really answering the question. It's just like, it's like when you ask a second grader how your day was, and they don't have any vocabulary yet to explain their day, so they just say, it was good. And you're like, what was good about it? I mean, some kids can, but you just realize some younger children, they don't really know how to describe things. You can tell by being the adult, looking there, and you're like, okay, they had a good day. Oh, they had a rough day today. But some people can really explain their day at a young age. Some people can't. Anyway, tonight, I believe in magic. I mean, what is that? Tell me why. Why do you believe in magic? What have you seen? What is the reason for your answer? Okay, let's go out to 415. What's up, 415?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good. So yeah, as far as the magic, I would say yes and no. I would say yes, and there's a lot of things that we don't understand that are happening that those who do understand are using against those who don't, it's for their favor, quite often. And no, in the sense that if I were to bring like a remote control over to a tribe or something and never seen technology, any remote control vehicle or something like that, a little RC car, anything, they would think that's magic maybe, or I could convince them that's magic. So from that standpoint, no. It's just there's knowledge out there that we don't know yet.
Here, sit tight.
Once
The music.
we do know it.
We'll be right back.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing problem in today's modern media. From the mainstream to YouTube and Google, the information you're looking for is buried by official narratives and propaganda. This is why TFR is 100% uncensored, unregulated, and listener-supported. The shows on TFR are not micromanaged by the station, and our hosts are free to speak their minds however they please. As such, the views and opinions expressed on our station are of those who make them. If you happen to hear anything offensive on TFR, please send us an email to toughtitty@tfrlive.com, and we'll be happy to tell you that we really don't give a damn. We stand for freedom of speech and non-censorship. If you also stand for free speech, you can go to tfrlive.com/signup and sign up for a TFR supporter pass and help us in our mission to keep the airwaves uncensored and unregulated. TFR Live, your uncensored and unregulated protection from this.
A military base on lockdown. Lisa Brady, Fox News. Officials at Joint Base San Antonio in Texas have been investigating reports that 2 suspected shooters fired shots from off base, then fled on foot. There are no injuries reported. They're working with San Antonio police to clear the area and search for the shooters. President Biden just landing in England to begin his first foreign trip as president, 3 countries in 8 days and 3 summits with the G7, NATO, and Russia's president. Telling reporters before he left this morning it's about strengthening alliances.
This is a high-stakes trip to Europe in which President Biden will be watched closely and assessed on how he manages to unite the G7 and NATO partners and rebuilds alliances that have frayed in recent years.
Fox's Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. Meantime, the president reportedly plans to announce a plan to buy 500 million more doses of COVID vaccine to share with the world. It wasn't about the photo op. That's the conclusion in a new government report that says President Trump's picture at a historic D.C. church was not the reason protesters were forcibly cleared from a park near the White House.
The Interior Department's Inspector General says U.S. Park Police removed crowds protesting the death of George Floyd so that a contractor could get started installing new fencing. About 30 minutes after police used pepper pellets and flashbangs. Then President Trump walked across Lafayette Park to deliver a short speech in front of St. John's Church while holding a Bible. The watchdog report found the clearing of the park was justified, but that law enforcement agencies failed to communicate adequately with each other and did not give sufficient warnings to protesters.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland at the White House. A Trump-era rule that narrowed the types of waterways qualifying for federal protection is now formally under review. The Biden administration filing legal action. The former president said the rules imposed unnecessary burdens on business. America is listening to Fox News.
Wherever you are, make it TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Condition orange. Condition orange. Situation delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal.
More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them.
Think for yourself. Question authority.
This code has been compromised.
We're back, True Seeker, and as we come back, the commercial break. At the top of the hour, we heard that there's an active shooter situation at a military base on a Wednesday yet again, and it's funny that just earlier today I was ranting about this. All these active shooters at military bases and also mistaken reports of active shooters at military bases, and so often on Wednesdays, because Wednesday equals 44, like military, like that list we just went through, soldier, infantry, trooper, officer, all those words are 44. Wednesday, 44. Military. But today leaves 191 days left in the year, and shout out to Chicozy Truth. He posted in the chat over the break, San Antonio, Texas equals 191. So does active shooter. Today, Biden talking about all the mass shootings. You know, then he gets one down in San Antonio, Texas. Remember, Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, 191.56. San Antonio, Texas, 191.56. Washington, D.C., 56. Number we've talked about all year. And, again, these are rituals, but there's clearly something more behind the ritual, a reason of operating this way. It seems to help them achieve their outcomes, seemingly. Because how is it that the population is just so blind to what is taking place right in front of their face? Again, last night, ESPN shows you the star player of the Phoenix Suns get his face busted. And then it pans to the wife of the owner of the Suns, and she just happens to be wearing a T-shirt of an incident from 11 years ago on 5/6, May 6th, when Phoenix Suns also equals 56, the only team in the whole league that equals 56 at the full name. 30 teams in the league. But, and their star, Chris Paul, born 5/6, he's out right now, supposedly with coronavirus protocol, coronavirus 56. You know the list. But again, I mean, what are the odds that after the star player right now gets his face busted, goes to the sidelines, and the owner's wife is wearing a T-shirt of a former player's wife busted? I mean, and just that these things happen so much in sports. So is this some kind of, is there more power to numbers and symbols that makes things outcomes? You know, Mark Passio, I showed the clip yesterday of him talking about how sorcerers, they want to cast their will onto people, their objectives. They want to make people fall in line with that. That's why they put out their magic using their occult knowledge, you know. Is this how it is done? Is it as simple as this? It seems more complicated, but maybe not. So we're taking your calls on this subject. The gentleman who was just on the line who got cut off by the commercial, he was explaining himself, and I'm going to let him continue right on. He said yes and no to magic, and here he goes.
Hey, yeah, I was saying basically magic, we call a lot of things that we don't understand magic is the bottom line. And once we understand the principles, like once we understood physics or whatever it took to make a remote control car in my example, and those who know how to do that or have seen it enough in our life, we wouldn't call a remote control car magic anymore. So once we know the knowledge that they're using, we won't call it magic anymore. But as of now, since we don't know what it is, I see why people call it magic. That's the answer to that. But I could talk about this topic for hours.
Well, think about this, though.
One of the things is,
but think about this. Maybe magic is the true word. Magic equals 33 in the most simple cipher. We're talking about a ritual yesterday on a 33-date numerology on the 33rd parallel that's so similar to what happened with Alex Smith 33 years to the day of Joe Theismann. So again, that word seems to correspond with the ritual.
Certainly. So, I mean, I see exactly what you mean by that. But what I'm saying is that as far as what they may not use the word magic. They may say, oh, this is a specific word that I don't know. And, hey, let's do this ritual or let's do this whatever, and they do that. And then once we know that knowledge and we have their vocabulary, we won't call it magic. We'll call it, oh, it's a remote control or it's whatever they're using. So in that sense, yes, both are true is what I'm saying. But beyond that, yeah, I'm just saying, like, for example, I've studied energy work, and so I can manifest a lot of things on a level that a lot of people don't. The average person doesn't really understand, and I try to explain it to people. I don't have enough time to do it over the phone here today, but just most people, I'll just say, manifest with either fear or desire. That's what we're taught in our world. That, you either want something really bad and you get it, or if you're afraid of, like, being picked, oh, teacher, don't pick me in the classroom, and they pick you, like, your fear manifested that. There's a third option, which is neutrality, and when you manifest through being neutral, and even people may not understand what I mean by being neutral, but part of that means facing your fears, getting yourself ready for all the best and worst case scenarios, mentally preparing yourself for it. It's kind of playing a little bit of a chess match to a degree in your mind. But you prepare yourself for this, and then you're kind of ambivalent after whether you achieve or you don't achieve your goal. You're really neutral in a sense. And then you actually manifest your goal way easier than if you want it too bad or you're too afraid or whatever it might be. And so that's something that they're using also. They're using energy work. This is something I've learned, and a lot of people can learn this if they want to. But they also have an edge on us with psychology, with critical thinking, as we talk about too. And critical thinking is a huge one. I think that answers why a lot of people don't get the things you're talking about, is because they can't reason logically, and they don't know how to build an argument. They don't know, they've never studied these things. They don't know how to have a debate. And so, unfortunately, they just go with their belief system and their gut feeling on things. They just go with their emotions. I saw a great bumper sticker today.
Hold on. Stop right there with what you just said. They go with their gut feeling. And the problem is, in people's gut is all the wrong stuff because they're eating this trash diet. And if you do some research, I mean, it's even in what they're teaching in the classrooms today, that there is stuff in your stomach that truly is similar to the matter that's in your brain. There's more to gut instincts than just like a phrase. So you think about how we're a poison society, and people have all this toxic shit, toxicity in their stomach and guts. It's like, yeah, and they're making decisions from this toxic place, and look at the way they make decisions and have no ability to think or critically think. I mean, it's like they have toxic minds. So there's a lot of things being waged against us. And I appreciate all the points you're making. I realize you could talk all night, man. There's a lot of people on hold, but awesome points all around. I really appreciate your call.
Totally. Thank you.
All right, man. You have a good night. I also wanted to remind that, if you look at the woman and who she's sitting next to, again, she's the wife of the owner, there's something clear about the man who has his mask pulled down so his nose is exposed. And again, I just got to remind you guys, the Jesuits were created in part by Jews who converted to Catholicism. And they brought with it the understanding, the knowledge of Kabbalah, which is like the main piece that brings all these occult teachings together, which is so clear when you know this code. And again, this year they renovated that stadium that they're playing in, and it's called Project 201 with all the 201 stuff going on. They closed out the Nuggets on a Sunday, the day leaving 201 days left in the year, the big Jesuit number. And just remember, Jewish mysticism equals 201. Like the Jesuit order, like Ignatius of Loyola, like Jorge Mario Bergoglio, the first Jesuit pope and the first to live in Suite 201, the Domus Sancti Marte, which is another 201, plus the rest of that list. But again, we're talking about how Kabbalah and Gematria is clearly involved in what's going on. You know, you got a woman in a shirt next to somebody who is, you know, like a relative of Diego Lainez. And you can only say so much in this day and age because we just can't talk about anything. But here's something to think about on this subject. The movie, or the Netflix. Netflix made a movie called Gollum. And, man, let me see if it's still on there. Netflix Gollum. The Gollum, this is it. If you have Netflix, and really none of us should, but if you have this, it's ranked 5.6. It's hilarious. Watch this movie. Watch this movie, The Golem. It's about, you know, it's back in the day. There's a group of people that do not want to live next to a Jewish village because they know the Jews have magic and they're scared of their magic. And this group, because they're scared of the Jews, I haven't watched for a while, but I think they kill at least one of the Jewish people and say to, like, stay away from them. I have to go back and watch exactly what happens. But no one in the Jewish community wants to do anything about it because they don't want any more trouble with this group. This other group has guns. They don't have guns. And they aren't really a threat to anybody. But this other group knows about Jews and magic, so they're scared of them. And if I remember correctly, they kill one of the Jews from the village in the beginning. But and I think anyway, one of the women in the Jewish village gets mad about it, and she wants to do something back. She wants to protect herself, so she goes into studying. She secretly becomes a woman studying the Kabbalah. She wants the knowledge that only the men in the village have. And then she takes this knowledge and she makes a golem, which is essentially like this entity she can use to harm this other tribe of people. But what she didn't understand is that when she did that, it's also going to bring the same amount of harm back to her people. So anyway, it's about like using magic irresponsibly and how it just hurts everybody all around. But in light of tonight's topic, this movie popped into my mind. I watched it probably 3 years ago, and I did a decode at the time, so it was on a channel that's no longer with us because everything's been deleted since then. But this movie, I think it is worth watching because it plants some seeds. And again, they do put out some stuff in the entertainment world that is very telling. And I'm almost... Here, let's take some calls. I'm almost tempted to go back and look up my old post on that. But yeah, let's go back out to the callers for now. And 858, thank you for your patience.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, Zach?
Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi, I'm a believer. Oh, great, thank you. I'm a believer in magic, and I can give you very specific examples on both the light and the dark. Both. So on the light side, years ago, so I'm in my 60s, I was in my 20s, and I meet this guy, and I was sick, and he would take these sigils, these geometric symbols, and he would write numbers in them. He would give them to me, and he would say, sleep with it on your chest. And I would sleep with it on my chest, and I would wake up the next morning, and I would feel great. So fast forward, I took your Gematria course, and I read your book, and I wanted $3,000. So I took a geometrical figure for abundance that I Googled, and I went to the Gematriator, and I put in specific phrases for me in abundance. I wrote them down, did a meditation, stuck it on my heart. 2 days later, I had a check in my hand for $3,000.
Huh.
So now, fast forward, I want to go back to when I'm in my 20s, and I want to tell you about the dark side. Are you there?
I'm here, yeah, listening.
Okay. Yeah, okay. All right. So now I want to tell you about the dark side. So I'm in my 20s, and I'm, a typical, gullible, 20-year-old female in her prime. And I fall in with, like, this really evil guy, but I don't know it, right? I'm just dumb 20-year-old. And so he has this quote-unquote monastery up in Belzura, which is an hour away from Takati, and the Takati border. So it's up there, and it's very hard to get to. It takes a long time, all these dirt roads, and, you get up to this place. And he had the largest occult library in the state of California. All the original Blavatsky, the whole 9 yards, right? So, and I don't know anything about this, right? I had this incredible experience with this man who was on the light side, and so now I'm entering into the dark, very naive. So I go in, and at the time, I was working in a physical therapist's office as a massage therapist, and the orthopedic surgeon hated me, because I was this, like, foo-foo healer, and 40 years ago that massage wasn't accepted. You were just a prostitute if you did massage. So this ortho just hated me. So this man who ran the monastery, he said to me, I was telling him about him, how afraid I was to meet this guy, how rude he'd been to me, blah, blah, blah. So he says, what time are you going to... I had to shadow the ortho with patients. I had to follow him from room to room. And I said, well, this is the time I'll be with him. And he said, at, whatever time it was like at 2:45, I'm going to enter the room, not physically, right? Just energetically. I'm going to enter the room. I'm going to enter his body, and he is going to turn around, and he is going to like you, and he is going to fall all over you. And I thought, yeah, right, it happens. I see, like, this physical entity enter the room, and he enters this ortho, and this is just your dick doctor, right? Just your a-hole doctor. And this guy turns around, and he is literally looking at me with, like, love and lust in his eyes. And, it was just unbelievable. So I go back up to the mountain, because this was down in La Jolla, down in San Diego. And I go back up to the mountains, and, he's bragging, right? And I said, it worked, it happened. So I'm very much under this guy's spell. And so fast forward. So I want to fast forward through the relationship. And I fall out of favor with him in a big way. Like, now this man is, like, hating me. So I had to go up to the mountain to retrieve all my stuff, because I had been living up there. And he didn't want me to come up at all. He just wanted me out. So I'm on the 805, and I'm headed out to Del Zura, and it's rush hour, and I'm going, like, it's not bad rush hour, but the freeway's packed. I'm in the left lane, and I'm doing, like, 70 miles an hour, 60, whatever, and my tire blows out. And I've always had, like, a guardian angel, and somehow I was able to control the car, and, like, this pathway opened up, and I was able to, like, get over to the side of the road, and and get the whole thing taken care of. So I just had, experiences with this. So when I was taking your gematria class and listening to some of your videos, you were, saying things about, you hadn't really heard it on the white side, how it's used. And the man who taught me about the sigils on the heart, he was an American, but he was a Hindu and had practiced Hinduism and had lived in India for years, like really dedicated. And he said, he told me that he healed or in the place where he stayed in India. And I mean, he was there for like 20 years, a long time. And he said he healed all sorts of god-awful diseases with these numbers. And he was a PA. He was a physician's assistant. So he had Eastern, or he had a Western medical background. And, but he worked with these numbers. And then one day we were out, and I was having problems, and he just did something. And I said, you didn't use the numbers. And he said, oh, I don't need the numbers. I can just do it. And later on in my career, again, I met somebody who was very much in the light, and he taught me these kind of energy powers. And like one time I was working on a client, and like they just levitated up, and every bone in their body just aligned. So it's like these powers in my mind are completely real, both in the light and the dark. And that football player that you talk about a lot, who had the ankle injury or the leg injury, from what I experienced on the dark side, that can happen in my mind 100%, because I've seen it in my own life. But anyway, I don't want to take a lot of time because people have really good insights on this topic. So thank you for taking my call.
Okay. I appreciate you sharing. Thank you so much. You have a good night.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, bye.
Take care. Okay, let's go out to Michigan. Michigan, you're on. Michigan, maybe just listening. 810. Okay, I think they're just listening. Let's go out to, I believe it's Marco. What's up, Marco?
Good.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing, man?
Doing well, thank you.
Good, good. Try to run this down really quickly. To answer your question, there's definitely magic. There are different forms of magic. Most magic comes from your intentions and, what's on your mind. There's no spell that is not done that doesn't have a portion or a section where you do some type of meditation to think about and to see with your mind, what it is that you want to manifest. So that's a big part of magic, or that's one type of magic. The reason why you do this meditation is because you're trying to impress upon the subconscious mind. So pretty much that's why this television is so strong, you know what I mean? Because they're constantly pumping a message to you 24 hours a day, 365, just throughout, your whole life. You just constantly keep hearing the same things. There's also another section of magic where you will go inside of yourself, where you deal with those spirits that are around you, those different guardian angels or different angels. A lot of people now on the internet talking about the Goetia. Goetia equals 33, by the way. But that goes into the 72 angels and the 72 demons of the Goetia, where they talk about that basically you have 72 chakras that sit on top of your pineal gland. That's a little bit deeper with it, but it's a real thing, man. I don't see how anybody could deny it. You know what I mean? Yes, I guess it could look like magic if, say, I had some knowledge about something and you don't know anything about it, and it's like hey, this is going to happen. You know, I tell you, hey, this is going to happen, and then it actually happens. Then it looks like I'm psychic, and it's like, oh, that's magic. You know what I mean? So I guess, yeah, you have that. But I would more put that along with MAGIC versus MAGICK. When you put that K on the end, the K is symbolizing comedic sciences, it's symbolizing chemistry. So you're throwing in different spirits and, you know, a different energy when you're talking about with that K at the end, if you ask me. That's pretty much exact on you know, answering the magic question. I did have a very small decode, not even a decode. I just want to add on something that you said earlier about the guy, John McAfee. I think it's very important to note a couple of things. One, you always talk about how the 47s and the 33s always seem to come together. Very interesting that his first name is 47 and his last name is 33. Now, if you put the two names together, John McAfee together, they equal 44 and 46. We know that shit killing a sacrifice number. And what's interesting about that is that tomorrow we have a super moon, which also equals 46 and 44. You know, very interesting. It's also going to be a strawberry moon. Strawberry equals 67. And Zach, get a load of this one. There's no coincidence that the antivirus man died exactly 67 weeks to the nose, no days extra from the start of the pandemic. And I'll leave it at that.
That's a great catch. There's a lot of 67s at the beginning. Wuhan is 67. 67 is the 19th prime COVID-19. But what I noticed, I did a presentation on this earlier. I didn't have what you just said, and I didn't have this in there earlier, but from Cyber Polygon, the simulation of the cyber attacks by the World Economic Forum, the first one done last year, July 8, 2020, to his death is 351 days, which is the 26th triangular number, and virus is 26, and so is COVID and China and all that. So, yeah, great work, Marco. We'll be right back, everybody.
Amazon by Christine. Great for heart palpitations. By Anne. Before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc. I love this product. It really works. By Brad. Works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
So, you love talk radio, then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
If you have hard water, the Lime Scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate Lime Scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products, available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
More than a dozen astronauts have officially reported UFOs. Hundreds of hours of UFO footage were filmed by astronauts aboard the space shuttle. Many of these UFOs can only be seen in ultraviolet light. ultraviolet light. Retired former Apollo astronauts and cosmonauts now tell their stories of their own personal UFO encounters.
The Enigma Channel, intelligent television for planet Earth. EnigmaTV.com.
You're listening to the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
All right, we're back, Truth Seeker. Marco got cut off by the commercial, so I'm going to let him get back on. Marco, did you have a few more thoughts?
Man, I did, man. I appreciate you coming back to me, man. Seriously. I promise I won't hold you, man. Won't be long at all. Wanted to add a couple more points that he did die in Barcelona or in the Barcelona area. Barcelona equals 71. And again, I'm saying that he's connecting with the strawberry moon. Strawberry moon equals 71. I found it interesting that Jewish magic also equals 71. Just punch that up. But yeah, he's also, Zach, he's also dying a day after. I didn't realize that this guy was so big on crypto. They're saying that he was like a straight up spokesperson for crypto. And it's funny that he would die a day after, you had that big crash yesterday. Wanted to make that point as well.
Right, and at the time of all these cyber attacks when he's computer security guys, so.
Exactly, man. And again, antivirus, that just blew my mind, the fact that he's an antivirus guy. Just to prove the last thing with I want to give a ritual. This lady got off the phone and, she dropped something heavy. A ritual I want to give, this one is for the lady. And even for the dudes, if you got like a stalker, somebody crazy in your life, man, I got a good one for you. Basically, you take some ice. And, well, it won't be ice before you start to be water. So basically take some water, you put it inside of a bag. And you're going to spit inside of that bag because you need to put your DNA inside of the bag to protect you. You need to let the universe know who they're protecting. And essentially what you're going to do, you're going to get a piece of paper, and on the front of the piece of paper, you're going to write the person that you're trying to X out of your life. Now, you're not trying to harm them. So this is why you're using the ice, because ice is a neutral item. And, you don't want to put any bad karma or anything out there into the universe. So this is why I always give the ladies a lot of times, a good ice ritual. But again, basically you're writing your name, the person's name that you're trying to get rid of on there. And on the back of the paper, you're writing out, chill out or get burned. That's letting the universe know, that's letting them know, basically, look, I'm not trying to hurt you. Just leave me the hell alone. You know what I mean? So that's what you're going to do. Like I said, you've already put the water in the bag. You put your spit in the bag. You can make it stronger, honestly, with blood and whatnot, or like a fingernail or something. Some people might find that a little crazy, and that's fine. Just spit in the bag, and then all you're going to do is take that water and the note that you left, and you're going to put it inside of the freezer and freeze it. I guarantee, literally instantly, they will stop, messing with you, whoever the person is. This even works for your boss getting on your nerves. Throw his ass on ice. Excuse me, I ain't mean to curse. But yeah, throw him on ice, and I guarantee this whole thing will work. Magic is serious, Zach. It literally works, but it never works unless you have your mind in it. It's not going to work until you put that intention behind it, and it's not going to work until you meditate on it. And again, I'll leave it at that. I appreciate you coming back to me.
All right, appreciate all that, Marco. Very interesting. You have a good night, friend.
You got it, bro. Have a good one. You too.
All right. Out to New York. How are you this evening?
Hey, how you doing, Zach?
Doing well. How are you?
Great.
Very good.
I was just listening, just hear you talking about a magic spell. That's for real, man. Don't let nobody fool you. That's for real. The power. Eh?
I was just gonna say it seems apparent it is. I mean, I don't know how else to explain what I'm witnessing without it. So.
Well, I have experience, so I can talk about that.
I would love to hear about it.
You ever do a read up on when the Haiti, the country in the Caribbean, Haiti?
Yes.
Or they get their independence and have a fight with Napoleon, the biggest army in the world at that time.
Uh-huh.
And they beat the crap out of Haiti, or the Napoleon army, right?
I see.
Do you know, that's why they outlaw the word, when everybody talk about voodoo, voodoo is a religion, that's spiritual religion.
Right.
So what happened to Napoleon? That's why they outcast it off of that. You couldn't use, and they catch anybody doing that. They chop off the hand or send it to jail or prison, whatever it is. Or they put a hex against that and make it outlaw and make it look like it's something vicious.
Right.
Because they beat the hell out of Napoleon. Even in America, here with the French quarters.
Yeah.
In New Orleans and all that.
Yeah.
You go down there, you see all of that still there.
Absolutely. It is. I was down there in January. I got to see it. You go out at night. Everybody's out there. Tarot card readers, all sorts of occult practices. I don't think there's any other city I've ever been to that's anywhere near that. So, yeah.
All of that is from the Asian people in Haiti.
Makes sense.
And the head man who organized that was from Jamaica named Bookman.
It's interesting. It's interesting to think that Napoleon, the French, attacks Haiti, and then the Haitian people end up in America in the territory that was sold by the French. Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah, they get rid of the French military out of New Orleans. That's why I'm saying America should have looked up to them. You know what I'm saying?
I see.
But even let's say with the war with Ethiopia.
Uh-huh.
And Italy, Mussolini, when they go up against His Majesty Selassie, they don't tell you this in the book. They don't tell you this in the book. But he trained the animals, the bees, to fight against Italian military. Train the animals.
Crazy.
The bees and all of that. So you never hear about that.
Right.
They always hide these stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, and about with what they do in the Jesuit society, why they're working so good, they keep people hate. When you preach love conquer all hatred. So that's why they keep the people in split up, race against race. So you will always be fighting. When you preach love conquer all things.
Great message. Great message. I appreciate all that. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share?
No, I'm just saying, that's how they keep you on up with fear and have you divided. So that's it.
100%.
That's why you see, they always listen to the music that Bob Marley say, one love.
Right.
One love.
Right.
Everybody come together as one entity, regardless of color. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of color. Color don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? So they use that to divide and conquer. And then the 99% wake up and see what's going on, like how we wake up, they're trying to wake the rest of the people up, but they're so programmed.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying? That TV.
Indeed.
So, that's it, man.
Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. You have a good night?
Yeah.
All right.
You too.
Thank you. Take care. All right. Great caller as always. And let's go out to New Jersey. How are you, New Jersey?
What's up, Jack? Zach and everybody in the truth community. Have you ever heard of Dr. Musaru Emoto from Japan? He's the one that did the rice experiment.
With the water droplets as well?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, that's, people are touching on letters, numbers, and words, and now we're getting into symbols and, thoughts manifesting, like The Secret and all that. But honestly, I think as powerful as all these things that the powers that shouldn't be are using against us, I believe our ignorance to it all is really just as powerful as all these things. What do you think about that?
I do. And that's why I think exposing what's being done is what ends their game, essentially. 100%.
And supposedly King Solomon, all he wanted was wisdom, and now, there's the keys of Solomon's, which is, mostly sigils, like that woman was touching on earlier, and, ancient ruins and such. I mean, there are a lot of people who don't even know what those are. You know what I mean? The ancient Germanic alphabets and the Viking alphabets. There's so much power in these symbols. The Bluetooth symbol, and we all got one in our pocket, Is it hurting us? Do we even know? We have no idea, because we're not taught these things. And again, we don't believe in it. We're ignorant to it all.
Truly. That's what it is. We're in the dark. The knowledge is hidden, so it makes sense.
And I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I believe the Bible has been corrupted. I do believe the Word of God is in there, but essentially, they tell you in the Bible to not, practice sorcery. And I just think that's their way of keeping those things away from us. So it's their tool, it's their weapon against us. Oh no sorcery, no wizardry. Don't use this knowledge or you'll be damned to hell. And that keeps a lot of people away from it.
I completely agree, and the entire time I've been doing this research, I've gotten people in that mindset leaving comments that this is all sorcery, witchcraft, you shouldn't be talking about this, you're evil for... It's just like, all I'm trying to do is expose what the people who are ruling this world are clearly doing, and people need to wake up to if there's to be a better future. And it's amazing just how many people are trapped in those mindsets from those teachings, which very well could be corrupted, because the Bible does, in a lot of ways, essentially tell you to stay away from certain sets of knowledge, which seem to be very important to the ruling class. And, you can look at it one way, well, that's what the evil people are doing, so we stay away from that. But at the same time, it's like, well, if you don't understand what they're doing to you, don't you see the disadvantage of that? I completely agree with what you're saying, and I pretty much always said the same thing.
Yeah, 100%. All right, bro, that's all I got tonight. Thank you.
All right, man, have a good night. Take care. Let's go out to Australia. Australia, you're on.
Yo, Zach, how are you?
Doing well, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, man. I just wanted to see if I could get a bit of a help with the decode about this is a magic. I believe this is magic as well. Did you catch the leg breaking on the UFC this year with Chris Weidman and Uriah Hall?
No, what happened?
So in a UFC match earlier this year, on April 24th, 2021, Chris Weidman tried to, in a UFC match, MMA fight, tried to drop a low kick onto Uriah Hall and snap his leg. But he faced an opponent earlier in his career, Anderson Silva, the Spider Silva, and Anderson Silva actually broke his leg in the exact same way, but the opposite leg in 2013.
Right.
There's some sort of ritual going on here, and I just wanted to see if any of the truth seekers, maybe even Rambo out there, could help me decode this. It's something to do with Anderson Silva, the fighter, Chris Weidman, the fighter, and Uriah Hall. It's those three fighters. If you look at their records, there's some numbers there with their records, like 11s and 33s popping up. And there's something to do with Uriah. There's a figure in the Bible called Uriah the Hittite, and in the Hebrew Bible, I think he's even mentioned in the Talmud. But the name Uriah comes from Yahweh, the term for the Lord. So there's some. I've been wrapping my brain around it ever since it happened earlier this year, but I just can't put the pieces together. So I'm just trying to be brief. But yeah, if there's any truth seekers out here that can help me decode this, Uriah Hall, Chris Weidman and Anderson Silva, and they both broke their legs. like in a live match, snapped their tibia right through the middle, and the leg just broke. Like it straight up magic. But there's something to do with Uriah Hall, Prince Hall, Freemasonry possibly. So yeah, any truth seekers out there that can help me with that decode, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, appreciate the observation. I'll look into it too, because yeah, it sounds similar to what we're talking about. Thank you so much. You have a good night.
Yeah, it's magic, man. Check it out.
All
Thank
right.
you, brother.
All right, take care. Let's go out to 352, Florida. Florida, hello.
Zach.
How you doing?
What's up? How you doing?
Doing all right.
Not bad, not bad. Hey, magic, man, definitely exists, man. Can you hear me all right?
I hear you just fine. Yes, I do.
You got a delay? Can you hear me all right, Zach?
I hear you just fine. Yes.
Okay, all right, right on. You know, the word magic, didn't it start with the Magi?
I would imagine.
And you know, the last fellow was kind of bringing up the Bible and how it's forbidden, you know, in the Bible. Well, actually, in the Old Testament, you know, Moses used magic against Pharaoh's magicians. You know, it was like a contest. So in the Old Testament, magic was all over the place, as well as the zodiac was used in the Old Testament. But in the New Testament, of course, it's forbidden, any type of divine, any type of magic, as well as, you know, a lot of Paul's writings, you know, demonize people who seek knowledge, just knowledge, period, because they demonize the Greeks for seeking after knowledge. In a letter to the Corinthians that he wrote, it straight up demonizes people who seek knowledge. And to me, it's part of the program. And, you know, don't seek knowledge. Don't look for magic. It's evil. And you know, it's so I 100% agree with the caller from before that, you know, it's one of those things that there's a reason they try to keep it from the sheep. That's how you know it's real.
Indeed, I agree, and it does seem strategic in how in our society we're brought up with fictional stories. Disney so much focused on magic, and then it's kind of so that's just part of childhood. That's just imagination, and what's really going on is what you're going to learn about here in this school book. But I feel like that's what they've done to society. They got us believing things that are, and you know what's funny is how many of us. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys have gotten the same phrase. It's like you're telling people what's going on, and somebody in the room might be like, oh, "Man, you watch too many movies," and you're like, "Okay." First of all, I don't, but why do so many people say the same phrases? Right. It's like they're putting the truth in the movies, and these people aren't picking up on it. So, I don't know. Go ahead.
Right. And second of all, when I watch them, I guarantee I don't watch it like you, you know. And then let's go to Isaac Newton. You know, as far as science goes, he was, you know, a golden boy. But after he died, they found all his books, and a lot of them were on magic.
Right. Yeah.
You know, he was on a personal quest for magic.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a black eye to the scientific community. They tried to hide it. So, I mean, that's one of the brightest minds ever. And his book says he was doing magic. So, you know, there's another just firm thing for me. But not only that, as far as magic in the sports, man, yeah, definitely. The numbers, before I ever even knew what gematria was, I'm a stat guy. My family's a football family. And I always noticed some weird things in the stats, and it just always like, no, man, that's 2, come on. And then when I found gematria, it all kicked in. The cognitive dissonance kicked in. You know, it was kind of like losing my religion. But I realized, you know, and I look back at our family dinners, Thanksgiving, we were all under spells. You know, we'd all sit down. We didn't talk about the family or anything. We were talking about the football game and watching the football game. That's what the whole entire family.
What part of the country are you from?
So, yeah, it's definitely. I believe there's a lot of.
What part of the country?
I'm from Florida. I'm from USA.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely football country.
And another part of the organic part. Southeast.
Yeah, football country for sure, Florida.
Oh yeah, my dad was a D1 scholarship player at East Carolina. Right, my dad was a D1 player at East Carolina. He got a scholarship. My brother played D1 AA in North Carolina. And here's something real funny, bro. As far as gematria goes, my brother, his full name, Alonzo Burl Custer, equals 222. Well, he's been a football coach since he graduated college. He played college 4 years. Anyways, he graduated college. He's a high school football coach in North Carolina. Well, this year they switched him from East Lincoln High, where he's been coaching for years and years, to North Lincoln High. And I just thought it was so funny, and I'm almost guaranteed he's going to win a championship this year. It's probably his first one, because he's a 222, and they put him on the North Lincoln High, like the way they're promoting the Civil War. Sure. And I don't know if he did play college football, but I've never heard. He never would give me any information on the inside like that.
Well, I appreciate you sharing what you do know, and I look forward to your next call. You have a good night, friend.
Yeah, man.
All right. Take care.
Oh, and one other thing, bro.
Go ahead.
One other thing, bro. I just wanted to know, have a good one. Let's go.
All
right. Next time.
All right. Take care.
Okay, I was just going to tell you about I had just done a new video, and it was a Android they used on MSNBC News Live, dude. Y'all check it out.
Okay, you want to promote your channel again one more time? You still there?
Yeah, it was the Frog Below Decodes. You subscribe to it, and I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
But I just put a new one up. It was on the 100-day leaving 177 days in the year last year, and MSNBC put up this damn person calling it a journalist, and it is an android. You can tell clearly. And 177 is transhumanist. And MSNBC News Android just happens to equal 177. So I just made a little 3-minute video on it, and I think that's magic too. I think they're preparing us to be getting our news from androids and not knowing it.
Truly, truly. All right, man. Great thoughts. You have a good night, friend.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Have a good one, man.
Thank you. I could tell him and I were on a little bit of a delay. Yeah, his thought about Thanksgiving. One time I was back in the Midwest for Thanksgiving, and I could just tell the culture just cared way more about football. Let's go out to Oregon. What's up, Oregon? It's in the Chicago area. Oregon?
Hello?
Hello? You're on. You're in.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the show. We hear you.
Perfect. Hey, I was just calling in. Magic is definitely real. I think one of the largest parts to the entire thing is the fact that they are harvesting energy from people through the media, using these numerical rituals to direct vibrations and get people's thoughts focused on their agenda, which helps them push it forward, because on their own they do not have the power to do it.
I think that's exactly what's going on, and I mean that's pretty much what I've described over the years is my take on things. When I learned about that movie Monsters, Inc. coming out right after 9/11 and about monsters that survive on the fear they harness from humanity, and then how if you've seen that cartoon for kids, the whole lineup of monsters is walking through the monster warehouse, and you can see the clock in the background, and the hands are on the 9 and 11, and again that film came out right after 9/11. It came out November 2nd, 2001, but that's essentially what the movie is telling you is in this fictional story, there's people harnessing negative energy and living on that energy from humans.
Well, it makes complete sense, because if you look at the proportion of the population that they are a small portion. They do not have the ability to manifest that much energy on their own without the consent of everyone else, even if it's unwitting consent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, that's one of the biggest things about self-control, is controlling your own thoughts and not playing into their bullshit agendas, because quite honestly, they just love to play people. It's where they get their power, it's their favorite game, and they enjoy it. And you're helping them push evil if you buy into it. You're helping them destroy humanity. And anyone that's buying into it clearly has a lack of critical thinking skills and any form of understanding of anything beyond the physical realm.
And I think that is a description of a lot of people. So.
Yeah. Willful ignorance is where they get their power. With that, and also just the go along to get along mentality that is such a problem in our society.
Yeah.
One thing that I wanted to say is I also had a little decode. We're coming up on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and it's kind of interesting with Event 201 happening when it happened and the pandemic lasting 18 months. Well, 18 months to the day is the 20th anniversary of 9/11. If you look at, like, wedding gifts, what you're supposed to get somebody for a 20th anniversary, you get them China. 9/11 is the 156th prime, which is like 15/6, which also happens to be Xi Jinping's birthday. U.S. war with China also equals 201.
Huh. Yeah. Great observations. Those are really good points. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
I'll get off the line and let someone else have a word in as well.
All right. Take care, man. See you. Let's go out to California. 909.
What it doing, Zach?
How you doing?
What's good with you, man? Oh yeah. I'm gonna say yeah to all that, to all your questions right there, to the magic, all that, and the last the last caller right there, he just touched on a big point, and the thing is, I think it's a big belief system. It's a big belief system if you believe in it. You know what I mean? You can do anything. So, and the other part is like it's a spiritual. This war, I mean, the world is a spiritual war. So, that's the thing that these people practice on. You know what I mean? And the numbers, like you said, all the numbers and the letters, all that stuff do got a frequency attached to it.
100%. I hear the commercial music. We'll be right back. Sit tight.
Truth Frequency Radio is your #1 source for news and information without the hate, hype, and fear. We're proud to feature cutting-edge programs like Beyond the Veil with Chris and Cherie Geo, X Squared with Brooks Agnew, Paranormal Portal with Brent Thomas, Karanism Raw with Karen and Missa, Fearless with Frank Castle, Strange World with Mark Sargent, The Eye of Ra with Rob Castaldo, The Infinite Fringe with Billy Ray, Ironworks with Josh Corey, The Kev Baker Show, and dozens more. Did you know you can listen from any telephone by dialing 641-793-7117? Or call into your favorite show, toll free at 833-TFR Live. Uncensored talk and news you won't hear in the mainstream media. Truth Frequency Radio, your protection from deception.
A military base on lockdown. Lisa Brady, Fox News. Officials at Joint Base San Antonio in Texas have been investigating reports that 2 suspected shooters fired shots from off base, then fled on foot. There are no injuries reported. They're working with San Antonio police to clear the area and search for the shooters. President Biden just landing in England to begin his first foreign trip as president, 3 countries in 8 days and 3 summits with the G7, NATO, and Russia's president. Telling reporters before he left this morning it's about strengthening alliances.
This is a high-stakes trip to Europe in which President Biden will be watched closely and assessed on how he manages to unite the G7 and NATO partners and rebuilds alliances that have frayed in recent years.
Fox's Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. Meantime, the president reportedly plans to announce a plan to buy 500 million more doses of COVID vaccine to share with the world. It wasn't about the photo op. That's the conclusion in a new government report that says President Trump's picture at a historic D.C. church was not the reason protesters were forcibly cleared from a park near the White House.
The Interior Department's Inspector General says U.S. Park Police removed crowds protesting the death of George Floyd so that a contractor could get started installing new fencing. About 30 minutes after police used pepper pellets and flashbangs. Then President Trump walked across Lafayette Park to deliver a short speech in front of St. John's Church while holding a Bible. The watchdog report found the clearing of the park was justified, but that law enforcement agencies failed to communicate adequately with each other and did not give sufficient warnings to protesters.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland at the White House. A Trump-era rule that narrowed the types of waterways qualifying for federal protection is now formally under review. The Biden administration filing legal action. The former president said the rules imposed unnecessary burdens on business. America is listening to Fox News.
This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Condition orange. Condition orange. Situation Delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal.
More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them.
Think for yourself. Question authority.
This code has been compromised.
All right, we're back, True Seeker. We're taking your calls the rest of the way. There's over 30 people on hold right now, and the only way we're going to get through all those voices is if people keep their call real short, one question, one point, no, extra one more thing. We can get through a lot of those calls if people cooperate. And again, the topic of the night: what is going on in this world? Is magic a real thing? Is the elite, the occult, are they using magic against us? For many years, I've speculated the answer is yes. I just wonder what everybody else thinks. I think it's an important topic because seemingly a lot of people are under mind control, and maybe there is something magical about that mind control that's been hinted at in many a Disney film. Also, for all the sports enthusiasts, the Hawks have upset in Game 1 again of a series. They're 3-0 in Game 1 of these playoffs, and every single game has been a 62 ritual. Hawks in Gematria equals 62. In their first series against the Knicks in New York, they gave New York their 62nd home loss in the playoffs all time. Against Philadelphia, Philadelphia came into the series 6-1 against the Hawks all time in the playoffs. They lost Game 1, falling to 6-2. And tonight, the Hawks improved to 6-2 on the road in the playoffs in Game 1 against Milwaukee. Again, Hawks 62. You learn this code. You can see through how the sports are scripted. And the Hawks were major underdogs tonight, which means they were a considerable payout. So, anyhow, Gematria, knowledge to see through the sports, the news, the politics. Set your mind free in the matrix. Let's go out to California one more time. So you got cut off by the break.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm just here, Zach. I've been following you for years, bro. For years. That's why I even know your story about how when your house got broke into. So I just want to say, the magic, all that stuff is real, and the belief system. It's a spiritual world. I don't know if people know, so that's real deal. It's real spirits out there that control things, and people pray upon, and even believe in. So, but anyway, the numbers and the letters, yeah, they got a frequency to it. That's why I think, you know, the stuff happened to you, it happened to me, you know, because even like Nikola Tesla, he was up on Gematria and he wouldn't stay in, you know, certain rooms or stuff like that. So I just want people to stay, you know, stay awoke and stay listening to Zach, man, you know, the stuff, and stay watching. Use this stuff for your own sight, you know, because like you, I bet you wouldn't stay in a room on April 4th that was number 44. You know,
Right.
certain stuff you got to watch out for.
Right.
If it adds up to kill, you know what I mean?
Truly.
If the military, you know, these certain words, all the words, it's a real world. These words are attached to a certain thing, attached to numbers. And so, you know, you got to watch yourself. You know, we all got to stay awoke.
Great message. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Zach, man, all day.
Yeah, you have a good night, friend.
You too, Zach. Peace.
Take care. Yeah, he's been here since 2014. That is a long time. Let's go out to Knoxville, Tennessee. What's up, Knoxville?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm pretty good, man. I've been listening around, and I know it's about magic and all, but that lady that called in first, I think she hit the nail on the head with the bail thing. And here's one quick thing on that, actually. It's the age of Taurus. It was around with 4,000 BC. It was after Gemini, but it was where Taurus was the cycle that was revolving the opposite way to that of the yearly cycle of the zodiac to the Gemini. But it was also the time period, about 2,000 years, where they worshiped the bull. And Baal was, you know, the force against God's force, you know, in that time period with Egypt and all. What did they do? They made a golden calf right after they had got let out of captivity even. You know what I'm saying? But I know that Baal required child sacrifice. And shoot, I mean, we have coronavirus numbers at like 400,000 last year and abortion numbers at 600,000. I mean, you know what I mean, though? It's some weird vibrational currents out there, I'd say. But I don't know. You showing the picture of the lady at the Suns game wearing the mask. On the mask, it says the Valley on it, right?
Right.
Well, you look back, and I heard earlier about the 11-year cycle of the sun and about how it was a polar shift. Well, pole shift is just literally 3. It's missing one of the numbers. It's got a 47 in there if you write it on the calculator. Write out the valley. And if you want to do that, it was also the knockdown of the game. Knockdown is a 4-number cipher, exactly the same to the valley. Knock down the valley. Then you have exploited, and you have pole shift, are exactly the same in all 4 ciphers. But they separate the 38 with a 47, and we know about 47, you know. But also the number the word vibration. It's pretty funny when you look at it. It's got a 61 on the reverse full reduction, but the other 3 are the same of pole shift and exploited. And I mean, when you look at it, the exploitation of that vibration she was causing with the shirt and everything, man. You know what I mean?
Truly.
And magic is real. You can't get around it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate all those observations. Great points. Thank you.
Hey, man.
All right.
Thanks for always letting me call in. You have a good one.
Yeah, you too. All right, let's go out to New York City, 646.
646, can you hear me?
I hear you, but it's repeating. It's the remix.
Okay, I'm coming.
Something's wrong with the sound.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. There we go. Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Yeah, Zach, it's funny that you have mentioned this topic tonight, because Tim McAfee himself wrote a book called Civic. Do you know that?
No, tell me about it.
Tim McAfee, he wrote a book called Civic. It's an Indian term for magic powers.
Okay.
And he credited that all to his own, you know, he was into yoga, and he credited that practice to his success for having that island, doing everything that he wanted to do, you know,
competing in, the computer market and all of that stuff and everything. So that's one of the ways when you get the chance, look it up.
I will.
The book that came up. And, and another thing is that,
well, I appreciate that.
Another way that people...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the moon, people use the moon to channel, to harness the power, to channel it to their target, to make things happen the way they want to happen. And this is one of the reasons why, if you look at the Jewish calendar, or the Jewish culture, or the Jewish religion, is all based about the moon. It revolves around the moon. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and the lunar calendar. They have a lunar calendar. They worship the moon.
Right.
So the moon is 11 days shorter. The lunar calendar is 11 days shorter than the solar calendar.
Right,
so
right,
that's one thing that I want to go out with.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah, that's a great observation, and I'll always encourage people to watch the documentary out there, Four Blood Moons. It's a pro-Zionist film about how important the moon is to Judaism, and
yes,
yeah, so
right,
yeah, appreciate that. Great point.
All right, you got it.
All right, you have a good night. Take care. Let's go out to 951. What's up, 951?
Yo, look.
Yeah, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Greg? This is Rob. We talked a few times. You did the bench press videos or whatever.
Yes. Thanks for calling back.
Oh, yeah. I definitely believe there's some type of magic going on. I don't know if there's like a specific I don't know how you can really prove it for sure. Like for instance, like I was just talking about this with my dad last night because if it wasn't for him, honestly, like I wouldn't have this much of an open mind to be able to get along with the gematria training so quick. But for him, he kind of cognitive dissonance himself. He believes that the media is all contrived, BS and whatnot, and but he can't wrap his mind around how, like, sports are rigged. So I wonder if there's like an instance where you can kind of prove that it's magic.
Just like strange things that have happened on a sports field.
Yeah, I mean.
There's if you go to my Gematria Effect Sports channel, there's a clip of Lamar Jackson from the NFL watching a replay of a missed field goal by his kicker. And he's pointing out how it seems impossible what happened. So, I mean, you can look at it one of two ways. Is it technology or is it magic? But go find that clip and show that to your dad, because it's even an NFL player reacting, because he's like, look, there's no wind on the post. He's like, how does that ball just change direction and miss? Again, I mean, there's a lot of things like that in sports when you pay attention, especially with the kicks in the last few years in football. So something's going on. And I mean, how does your dad explain a 25-point comeback on 2/5 over the Falcons when you show him Gematria? Now Falcons is 25 and Bill Belichick's 97, and that was the 97th season, which is the 25th prime, and they moved the touch back to 25 yards. I mean, this stuff is clearly ritual.
No, exactly. He believes that it might be like time traveling or something, but he's not too sure. He doesn't. He's on the gematria trend, but not all the way when it comes to sports. And I'm like, come on, like this is the one thing that I feel like this is the reason why they make these sports, is to keep people like him who are, he's like revolutionary. Like he's got his own insurgent shirts. Like he's all down for the revolution with him. But when it comes to sports, like he's just glued to the TV screen. That's the only time he's glued to the TV screen is when the sports are on. I'm like, come on, like this
That's just like my dad, man. That's like half the men in the country. Exactly. That's why they give it to us, because it just keeps men right there. It's just like life is good enough as long as they got their sports. I mean, it's that way for so many people in this world. That's why they put this on every day. They keep people in the cycle. So.
Right.
Well, appreciate you, man, and that's cool that your dad is. You and your dad are both at least talking about it. Very cool. So that's a good story right there.
Yeah.
You have a good night, friend. I appreciate you. All right, take care. All right, let's go out to Minnesota. What's up, Minnesota? 612.
Hey, Zach, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Not too bad. I just want to go ahead and answer your question for you about is magic real? And my answer to that is yes.
Okay.
I just want to go ahead and touch on what's that?
Yeah, just good. If you could say why it's yes, I'm listening.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason I just want to touch on a couple things. You know, as you know, Zach, it's your life's work to, you know, as you know, there are entities that control this world that range from Freemasons to, you know, to the Illuminati, to, you know, the Society of Jesus, and this all goes back to the Catholic Church. And the funny thing is, or the thing that a lot of people don't talk about, is these people actually pay a tribute to another entity that's actually controlling them. And, you know, it's understood that these things are called archons. And, you know, in the Islamic world, it's understood that they're called jinns. And, you know, a lot of people talk about how these people, they're not people, they're actually multidimensional beings that traveled from another world to our world. And they first came to our world back in, you know, a long time ago. I believe it was back in, you know, Babylon. And it's understood that these people came to this planet or this world as a test from God. And they were talking about, you know, they talk about how, you know, the reason why they came is they're teaching people, you know, the reason why they came is it's a test from God to see. The only reason why they came was they're trying to teach people the ways of magic. And, you know, they tell people, hey, if you teach us, if you learn from us the ways of magic or the ways of, you know, how to use numbers and letters and, you know, symbols and all these sort of stuff and signs, you know, you forfeit your place in heaven. You don't get to go to heaven, you go to hell. That's what's understood in Islamic teachings. And, you know, I talked, you know, and this is talked about in the Quran a lot. I'm a Muslim, so I grew up as a Muslim. You know, I've learned as a young kid the Islamic ways and all that stuff. And you've kind of touched on that a little bit with the, you know, with the Kentucky Derby, the Quran and the Quran code and all that stuff, and you know how the Kentucky Derby was on May 1st, and you know it was the 19th day of Ramadan, you know, and you know 19th day of Ramadan, and it's like I've had some knowledge about magic before, you know, because of the studies of the Quran and some other stuff. And, you know, but once I learned gematria, I was like, you know, this is a missing piece that because I've always had this concept. I'm like, you know, I know that, you know, this is magic. They're using magic to control the masses, and this is how it works. But in our religion, it's frowned upon that if you talk about any other entity that controls the world, you know, you're not supposed to talk about those kind of stuff. So you can't really have a conversation with anybody about how, you know, people are actually using magic to control this world, and magic comes from, you know, these entities, and people believe in these entities, and they're talked about in the Quran and stuff like that. But you know, when I discovered gematria about a year and a half ago, when Kobe died, right after LeBron passed him in all-time scoring points, and I was like, you know, this is the piece that I was missing. And then I connected the knowledge that I had with, you know, the knowledge that came from the Quran that I had about magic and some other stuff with the gematria and some other stuff I know about astrology and, you know, numerology and stuff like that. I was like, you know, this is the piece that I was missing. Now, if I ever tell anybody about, you know, how this world can be controlled by magic, and these people actually learn, and it's actually understood that the first people to learn magic in Babylon were Jews. And that's why, you know, that's where a lot of hatred comes. That's where, you know, a lot of hatred comes, you know, with the Jews and stuff like that. And they talk about how, you know, they were the first people to learn about that, and they were greedy, and they were, you know, power hungry, money hungry people, and they were always out to, you know, they were always out to get power and money, and this is their way of controlling people. You know, having the knowledge, having the occult knowledge of, you know, using symbols and words and all that stuff. But this is, you know, kind of a business transaction between, you know, these archons, these multidimensional beings, these jinns, and between a human being. And they use, they're like, hey, the people or like the Catholic Church or whoever's controlling the world at the time of Babylon was like, hey, we will help, if you help us, control the masses with your knowledge, with your occult knowledge of numbers and words and symbols and stuff like that, we will try to mislead the people, and put them on a path to hell. That's what's understood in the Islamic teachings. And, there's this British scientist by the name of Arthur Clarke who said any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic itself.
Right. You make so many good points, and again, just so many different spiritual viewpoints are arriving at pretty much the same conclusion. And I really appreciate your call tonight. Great addition. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zach. Thank you for taking my call, and thank you so much for putting out the work day in and day out. We appreciate all you do, man. Thank you so much.
Well, you are welcome. You have a good night, friend. Keep it up.
Yeah, you.
Thank you. All right, let's go out to Denver. Denver, you are on.
Hey, Zach, what's going on, brother?
Hey, man, how are you?
Good. Yeah, well, I see your topics on magic today, obviously. It's very interesting. Well, I think last I told you, man, a few months ago, I think you talked about Daft Punk with the silver is going to explode. I guess we missed that one, brother, because silver is way down.
Well, it's not way down, but it's just hovered around $26 forever. And it is interesting that it seems more the focus has been on crypto. But again, silver is money, so again, got to think more about it. But it seems that just all the monetary stuff has been more focused on the crypto rather than the metals.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, silver and gold's money. My grandfather said everything else is paper, right? So, I mean, and like all this crypto, more fake stuff and how to manipulate it. Yes, but it's well, going back to the I guess to stay on point. It's very interesting too. Is like I think a lot of it is just in your soul realm. Good, evil. Also, government means mind control. Media, obviously, the fourth branch of government. So again, under the frequencies, and like you said, you have to believe in it. Like if someone told you a magic, I can care less. He can do what he got to do, and I'm looking the other way. Focus on something. It's not going to really affect me. And also, I think it's also being a blessing or a curse. You got to choose which one you want to be in. So also magic, they're trying to curse you to gain something for them, what they call like an evil blessing. See, me being Hebrew, I don't believe that. Either you're blessed, or you choose to walk in a curse. Yeah, you can do that, but a lot of it's in your own mind. Again, it's two realms within you. The Yetzirah Ra, the Yetzirah Tov. One is life, and one is evil. So God always wants you to choose life for yourself, and also, bring light to others, right? But obviously this, I think I talked about again, this what you call subplot message, red dragon, beast system, can't buy or sell, Lucifer, fallen angels, that's one side, obviously in the Torah and the Bible, which also you call a dark side or an evil side. The other side is obviously what Jesus taught, kingdom of heaven, kingdom of God, also goes back to the Torah teachings, and Jesus basically said, choose this side. But, every day you got to choose which way you're going to go, right? Two realms within you, your sick is your dark secrets. So if you want to call it magic, whatever, there's just something punching around you. This guy obviously sees everything you do in secret, but he'll judge in secret what you do in a community. He's going to judge the community for, whether it be good or evil. So obviously you got to look at the individual way you're walking, obviously another person, and then also a community, and then also a global effect, right? So, but I think, the subplot message, and I think the one person said it, this has been going back with Moses. He put the staff down, right? The Egyptians, they put their staff down. He knows Moses ate the other ones. But then he went to the Red Sea. Remember, they had a bowl, they put some dust, they turned the water red, but they couldn't turn the whole Red Sea to red, which Moses did. So I think what God's really showing you, if you want to play this game, and then the frogs, the lice, and everything comes with 21 plagues, it's not going to work out too good if you're working in the, the subplot message. So, but obviously on this media, what they're doing, and, obviously what they're doing, I think, playing with the realm of death for subplot message, Illuminati, Freemasons, same games as always. But again, it's been on this program, which they need you to submit. They need you to comply for it to make it work. But if you're going the opposite direction and you're focusing in a total different direction, how in the world can it work for them? It can't. And that's why I think when you keep reading also, you got to come out of the Babylon system. And that's the whole thing. Every time you keep participating in it, that's exactly what you're doing. And that's why you got to come out of it. And the only way for me personally, I know, is just follow the Torah and directions. You're not going to do it the best of your ability. God will help you refill, you fall, he'll fill in the gaps, but you got to walk in a different direction. I'm keeping the Sabbath. I'm, feeding the widows and orphans. I'm praying 9, 12, and 3. I'm wearing cotton, wool, and linen. If someone comes near me, I put water and oil on my face to change the frequencies. They call it bad vibes. There's all kinds of principles that you can do to get your mind right or your status right, back in your favor, back in your court. But that's what the subplot message does, or you call it magic. It keep using all the opposite principles to break them, for evil. Or, government mind control to control your mind to get their game played, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. So,
well, I appreciate it all, man.
There, brother, but basically, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I appreciate it. There's just a lot of people on hold, and thanks for calling in. And just his remark at the beginning is just not a true remark. He said, "Oh man, silver's way down. We blew it on that one. Silver's not way down. It just hasn't gone up." That there definitely was symbolism with the Daft Punk silver gold moon ritual, but it's been all the crypto stuff that's been going on. So again, silver, gold, traditionally that's what money is. So anyway, but just calls in and makes a false statement and then gives a whole bunch of, religious beliefs. Let's start with the first one. Let's make genuinely true statements. Way down, it's not way down. It's like it's barely below where it was the day of. It just hasn't really moved anywhere. Okay. Out to Irvine. What's up, Irvine?
I am not going to ask you how you are, and I'm not going to tell you how wonderful you are, Zach. This is Reese.
Hi, Reese. You know what,
Anyways,
Reese? I made a big mistake.
hi.
Just so you know, I should have waited till after the break, so you're going to get interrupted by the music whenever it starts, but we'll come right back to you. But go ahead.
Okay, I have this all, no pun intended, scripted, because I don't want to miss out on anything here. But last night I was listening to the exclusive interview, Open Your Mind 101 by Mark Passio. You all need to listen to that if you haven't. He speaks about the triangle, and he speaks about the lower half of the triangle is what anchors the whole triangle.
All right, pause right there. We'll be right back. Quick break.
Okay.
Hey everyone, it's Chris Gio, founder of True Frequency Radio and host of Beyond the Veil. The mainstream media and establishment are running scared right now, and they've prominently featured TrueFrequencyRadio.com as number 89 on the federal government's hit list, also known as the fake news list, which is essentially a list of sites slated for censorship on Facebook, YouTube, Google, and other social media. Now is the time for you to get involved. Share your favorite TFR shows far and wide on forums and social media. Tell your friends and family about your favorite shows. If you're a business owner, get in touch with us to feature your product or service right here on TFR. And if you haven't done so already, become a TFR supporter now and get unlimited commercial-free downloads and high quality. Visit truthfrequencyradio.com/signup. Thank you for making TFR the leader in independent and uncensored talk radio. Truth Frequency Radio, your protection from deception.
Balance of nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
It's a great product. And the one thing I like about it the most is that when you open the bottles, you can smell like the scent of the fruits and veggies. It's no genius thing to it. It's really just fruits and veggies, which everyone needs. And you guys kind of put it in a way where you can take it easy and you can get it, and it's natural, and that's what I like about it. I like the product, and I've taken it, and it's definitely made me feel a lot better. I am a healthy person to begin with, but it's definitely good prevention, and it's definitely gives me energy, and I feel like it's an actual thing. I like it. I really do.
For a limited time, use discount code TALK to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code TALK.
Jacob Frank Leibovich is the mastermind behind a global network of satanic cults. He taught that the creator God was evil. Jacob Frank proclaimed himself as the true Messiah. He vowed never to tell the truth. He rejected every moral law and declared that the only way to a new society was through the total destruction of civilization. Murder, rape, incest, and the drinking of blood were perfectly acceptable actions and rituals. His followers established the Marxist system and have infiltrated Islam and Judaism. He was the Messiah of the Illuminati.
EnigmaTV.com. No hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR, your protection from deception.
All right, we're back, Truth Seeker. It is the final 30 minutes, and the last caller was interrupted, Reese, and she was getting into something great, so here she is right back.
Okay, am I on?
You are on. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, so last night after listening to your show, I started researching Mark Passio.
Yes.
And I came across one of his teachings. It's called Open Your Mind 101. It's an exclusive interview. And that interview is just so awesome. And it only has like 600 and some views, believe it or not. But what he was saying was, if you can imagine the triangle, the bottom part of the triangle is the anchor. The only way these people above on the top, to the tippy top of the triangle, can function is with the anchor. We, the people that are dummied down, are the anchor. They're drawing from us. They're drawing from, us being dummied down by the culture, us being dummied down by Disneyland, even music. I don't know if you all know that music producers put spells on music CDs before they're dropped. They do rituals. So your kids and you are listening to music, especially rap. Rap, unbelievably, is the new rock and roll. And what's going on is the heaviness. We're the ones holding them down. Another thing, these are my own words, that's holding them down, holding this evil down, is Baal. B-A-L-L. You pronounce it Baal, or you could pronounce it Baal. Anything involving a ball is a ritual. Baseball, soccer, football, tennis, it all has a ball. It's all ritual. They're all, people worship the games. They get their matching T-shirts. Men go into their men cave. It's a ritual that's being done. So all of that combined with Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, they're bad too. They're all part of the Illuminati, believe it or not. All that is keeping the anchor down, the triangle down. It's weighing it down. So I say this, magic is real. I know this lady who cleaned out her daughter's room. Her daughter was going away to college, and she found a Ouija board and she found tarot cards, and she threw them in the trash. When she came back inside of her home, they were sitting on her coffee table. And I told her, oh no, I read somewhere that you have to burn that stuff. You've got to dismantle. So her husband took an axe, you know, a saw to the Ouija board, and we burned the tarot cards, combed through her daughter's jewelry and whatever. Her daughter had a lot of peace signs. Peace signs are bad. We all think, oh no, it means peace and love, and from the hippie era. It doesn't. A peace sign is a fallen cross. If you put your arms out, one out to the other, and make a cross, and then drop them to your side, it's a fallen cross. So peace signs are bad. People use crystals, and you know, they use them in witchcraft, and they use different stones. They use sage. They use all sorts of things. We're in a fallen world, and it's so important that we all put our armor on, because this is a spiritual war between good and evil. God is in the word good, and devil is evil. Evil is devil with just the D in front of it.
Well, Reese, isn't it that everything, though, is dualistic? So even though the symbol, I don't think the peace symbol, even with the fallen cross, necessarily has to be a bad thing, because I think part of what with symbols is like the meaning in the intent. Or do you just think that it's always bad? There is no positive side to it.
Well, I think what happened was, just like in the music industry, I think there's been spells put on things, and I do, as much as I believe in Jesus, and you all know, and I haven't been bashful about sharing that, as much as I believe in Jesus, I believe in the devil. The devil's real. But if the devil is pestering you, all you got to say is, in Jesus' name, leave, and that devil will have to flee. And I've told people that weren't even Christians, if it's bothering you, just say, in Jesus' name, leave. And sure enough, they turned to Christianity. They could not believe that the devil shivers at the sound of Jesus' name. So there's no potion, there's nothing that anybody has to do, just the name of Jesus. No disrespect to Jesus, but the name of Jesus is like a can of raid. I mean, demons shiver at the name of Jesus. So, yeah, it's so important. And with the knowledge that you've given us, I am not bashful. Just as strong as I am in my faith and sharing Jesus, I share you too, Zach. I link you wherever I possibly can. Last night I was on Kwame's show, linking you here and there, and I go to all different kinds of I sub to different channels, earthquake channels, because I'm in California and whatnot, and I drop your link. I drop it everywhere I can.
I appreciate
that. And I think that if we all do that, oh, go ahead.
I said I appreciate that. What I wonder, though, see, the thing that YouTube's done to people is, I don't know if you're getting a response in the chats where you're doing that. If so, that's great. But what YouTube does is it makes it look like you're posting comments and people can see your comments. But usually if there's a link, it ghosts it so nobody else can see it. So...
Oh.
I don't know for sure that's the case, but I know that YouTube does do that when people link links, because they're like, why can't you see it? I'm saying, well, on your end you see it, but it doesn't show up for us. So, but I really do still appreciate that you're doing that. I mean, if everybody did do it, it still would get out there more and more people would find out. But the big tech companies have taken so many paths to making it hard to share information. And that's not just true for me, that's true for a lot of people. So they don't want us sharing information.
Well, another thing, I'm gonna pledge to you. I won't tell you the amount, but I've just moved to do this, and I want the money to be spent. Like take your girlfriend, your lovely lady out, and the rest of it, I want you to like have business cards where you have some kind of gematria, where you maybe talk about COVID, because that's like the hot subject right now. So that when you're talking and you hand out a card, it doesn't have to be like anything fancy, but they have it in their back pocket or their purse, and when they're supposed to come across it, you bet they're going to come across it. They'll come across it, and with your link and your information, and I think that could be a really good conduit to get this out in the public, because this knowledge needs to be known. I mean, because if it's not known, we're forever going to be the anchor holding down that triangle. And I think enough of us are awake, and enough of us are like 100% in. And I think that I know that it's every day, 5 people you're going to tell about Gematria. I tell my Uber drivers. I specifically parked my car so I can Uber, and I talk to my Uber drivers, and I got them, interested in Gematria now. So I just share that to just, people need to get out of their bashfulness and just double dare themselves. Just pass it around. It doesn't hurt.
Indeed. That's a great message, Reese. I appreciate that so much, and I hope you inspired a few more people tonight to step outside of their comfort zone and do the same thing, because now is the time. So, thank you so much.
Okay, and I want to do a real quick, Zach, one more thing. Are you there?
Yeah.
I want to do a real big shout out. I was on Brandon's Free to Find Truth, and he put up, stickers in on all these places, on stop signs and whatever, Gematria. So it's like we all need to pull together. I mean, if we can't afford stickers and we can't afford business cards or whatever, word of mouth.
Indeed.
It's got to be done. And I think, okay, I'm gonna leave you on that note. And I think I covered everything. Okay.
All right.
So,
thank you so much, and thank you to Brandon
okay, you
too.
take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, appreciate it. You have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. And great work, Brandon. Thank you. Let's go out to New York, 585.
Yo.
How you doing?
Oh, shit, that was good. Oh, yeah, I was just saying, like, magic definitely real. Basically what it is just like spirits, you know what I'm saying? Like good spirits, bad spirits. So here example would be like a bad spirit, you know what I'm saying? And then like, so it's deities, you know what I'm saying? It's my bad. So it's basically just manifesting energy, you know what I'm saying? You gotta have the knowledge. And of course, the elite, they do practice magic. Like you look into the Willie Lynch letter, and it's just a strategy of divide and conquer. That's all it is, you know what I'm saying? Like within the black community, get the light skin against the dark skin, you know what I'm saying? Like that type of thing.
Divide and conquer, right.
Yeah. Something like that. But if you like I know you talk about the mark of the beast thing a lot, so if you look into that scripture, talking about like the forehead and the right hand, so it's all about like the mind and the soul. So it's mind control. So once they get your mind, get your soul, your spirit, you know what I'm saying, they just got you, you know what I'm saying? So that's why the media is so important and shit, like, and things of that magnitude. But yeah, I'm down, I'm not too nervous, man. But like even if you do on YouTube, it's like mad witches and wizards. You can look up, like you check out Rashad Jamal, walk with the ancestors, stuff like that. But it's definitely good. But it's just manifesting, you know what I'm saying? Like I practice magic, you know what I'm saying? It's like people all over YouTube, you can actually talk to spirits and communicate, like with tarot cards, stuff like that. So they really be like talking to spirits. You can just pull up on their YouTube channel. And, you know what I'm saying? They talk about all of that, and it's just your diet. You know what I'm saying? Your mood. That's what determines like your spirit. So if you got a good diet, you'll be like in good spirit, and you can like manifest it that way. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they push the bad diet. You know, a bad spirit, and it's all karma basically. So you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be like basically like you eating mad bullshit. So it's like bullshit gonna be coming in. So you know what I'm saying? You're gonna be like literally like a bad spirited kind of area. You feel me? But you got a good diet, vegan and shit like that. You're gonna be fucking with the good spirit, so you can like manifest stuff better. You feel me?
Makes sense.
Yeah, I'm bad. I'm nervous. I don't be like talking on the radio and shit like that. But that's all it is. Like if those mad people on YouTube, like you just look up and they'll literally like they can like predict and shit. Like you can get readings from them. They can talk to spirits. And they'll tell you like it's just about like what you eat, how you manifest. So it gets deep. Those definitely real. But like the elite, they know all that because they stole all the information. You know what I'm saying? They put it in the Bible. And so like when you read the Bible, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's against like attacking your mind and your soul. So it's like you sitting there, you taking mad much of that, you reading the Bible, it's like gonna be a party. So it's just gonna be like.
Well, I appreciate all the information and the insights. I'm going to look up more of that content on YouTube, so I appreciate that tip too. But you have a good night, friend.
Like, what with ancestors from Shad Jamal. Look up my channel too, though. Honky the Chosen One. For me, I just started, but I'm going to be dropping it's Honky the Chosen One. Yeah.
Okay. I'll look for that too. Thank you so much. You have a good night.
Yeah.
All right, take care. All right, let's go out to New York as well. New York 347.
Hey Zach, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I know you got a lot of callers. I'm gonna make this quick. Basically, I know everybody on the call tonight has been saying that magic is real. I'm gonna be the first one to say that it is not real, and I'm gonna explain why.
Okay.
All right. So basically, when it comes to this idea of magic, all right, I got the definition from dictionary right here. Influencing the course of events by using mysterious or supernatural forces. Now, when you read that definition, you got to know what mysterious means and supernatural means. Mysterious, another definition being difficult or impossible to understand or explain the identity of something. And supernatural being beyond scientific understanding or the laws of nature. Now, I'm going to tell you why those definitions are pretty much BS, because when you think of the occult, what does the occult mean? Hidden. If you're playing a game of hide and seek, right, and you're trying to find somebody, and they are hidden from you, all that means is you don't know where they are. You don't know where to find them. That does not mean that they do not exist, and that does not also mean that you cannot potentially go and find it out. Same way with the information that is being hidden from us throughout this world by the Kabbalah, by the people who practice Luciferianism, satanic practices, all of that. If you look hard enough, sooner or later, you're going to find it. Just because we, at this current point in time, see and experience things that we cannot explain at the moment does not, one, mean that there isn't a definition or an explanation to it just because we personally do not understand it, and two, that it does not exist. The same way that you go on to the street and try to tell everybody about the coronavirus and Event 201 and all these things, they can deny it. They can say it doesn't exist. That don't mean when they get the vaccine, they're not getting all of these lethal injections put into their bodies that's going to corrupt them. It still happens to you regardless. So when people use this idea or definition of magic, to me, it's like when you say something is supernatural or not natural, where we as humans right now living in this world that was created for us have a very, very, or at least most people, have a very, very limited idea of what is actually natural, what is actually capable for us to do. And if you think about it in this way too, like if you never went to a pool and you've never seen the water, you've never seen a beach, an ocean, or anything like that, right? And then somebody finally brings you to the water and throws you inside the water. Do you think you're going to know how to swim?
If you're lucky. Probably not.
You're right. If you're lucky, that's what I'm saying. You've never seen it. You've never experienced it. Therefore, you wouldn't even have the capability of processing the idea that you could swim.
Right.
That's the same thing with magic. That's the same thing that is occult. I don't like when people use that word supernatural or try to somehow separate what we can physically see.
I get the point you make. I think it's a great thought. So how would you describe then, given the language you have now, what happened last night with the Devin Booker, owner of the Suns, Steve Nash T-shirt ritual? How would you explain that?
Oh, that's easy. Like you said, it's a ritual. It was practice. It's more than likely it was. It's easier to say that they rehearsed it. Like anybody could, like some people could say, all right, maybe, when he bumped his head, it looked like it actually hurt. There are people in movies all the time who do things that actually break their arms and do something for the camera that was not expected. That people, still capture and put on the film. It's still released, and it makes for a better movie. So sometimes actors or people playing roles or, being part of a script will actually do something that will actually get you hurt. You got to do what you got to do, when the situation is given to you.
Well, it's possible.
It's
possible that it is that scripted, but again, if you have not seen the highlight, I encourage you to watch it because it would have to be first take and just bam, right on the spot, perfectly done. I mean, it's definitely possible, but at the same time, impressive if it is. So.
No, you're right. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not see the full take in itself, but I'm saying that to just automatically jump to the idea of magic and not say that there isn't a sort of reason or explanation why you can solve it. Because when you're talking about gematria and, like, you've even talked about this yourself, organic gematria versus occultic gematria, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Just because people have turned it or twisted a science that exists into the world into something that they use for their own methods and circumstances does not mean that we cannot explain that science. So yeah, they probably went through their rituals because again, they've been doing this for hundreds to thousands of years. So I'm pretty sure they would have gotten pretty good at it by now, where they could actually have things happen, 33 years apart on the exact minute at the exact date. It's like basic astrology. There's the 12 zodiac signs. As the sun crosses across every single zodiac sign, there is the yearly zodiac things that go on Earth. Every month is a different zodiac sign. You can break it down to the day, the minute, the second. It's just a bunch of repeated patterns on multiple different scales. This is just the science of how the universe works. If you understand the knowledge, you could use it for whatever purpose or whatever nefarious plot you may have. Is it necessarily magic? I guess you could say it if you want, but again, it's just something we do not currently understand or information that is locked away from us that is already a part of this natural world that we live in. If you get what I'm saying.
I do get what you're saying, and I appreciate your point of view on it. I think it's important. So thank you so much, friend, and you have a good rest of your night. Take care.
You too.
See you. Okay, let's go out to South Carolina 843.
Hello?
Hello, yeah.
Alright, yeah, I'm just gonna try to make this quick. So, like, the last guy, he was saying about how, it might not be magic, whatever like that. That's kind of what to touch on that point. Like, I'm not sure if you've heard of this thing called Zipf's Law, ZIPF.
No.
Alright, well, Zipf's Law is basically like, you read any, like, sort of literature, right? Like, they all kind of follow a sort of frequency, even though it's not, like, intended to be that sort of way. So if you read a book, it's like certain words will appear in a certain sequence, no matter what book you read. It's like it follows a natural sort of a frequency that exists or something like that.
Sure. Was there anything else you want to say?
Yeah, another thing I was going to touch on that about too, he was talking about magic. One of the etymological roots of magic is like, it kind of refers to like astrologers. Like magic really, it kind of goes back to astrology. When they originally referred to magic, magicians and magic, or magi, they weren't really talking about people who were casting spells. They were more referring to people who were influencing hidden, like that hidden frequency, that hidden, I guess, energy layer, or whatever you want to call it, of the universe. They're influencing that, because everything is energy, right? And that energy rides certain frequencies, and you can tap into certain frequency. Like every emotion is a certain frequency, and when you tap into those frequencies, you can influence certain things by, just by basically understanding how these frequencies work and tapping into those. And that's why certain symbols do these things, because these symbols also refer to certain frequencies as well. Because it's like a circle is 360 degrees, right? So that circle has a specific frequency that relates to it. So if you're trying to tap into a certain frequency, you might make a symbol that includes a circle and some other symbols, because they have those symbols themselves have a certain frequency that's behind them that taps into maybe a certain emotional frequency that resonates with that symbol as well, if that makes sense.
Sure. I know it is something like that. So yeah, it's a tough thing to explain, but you're doing it. Well, I appreciate it, friend. Thank you so much for calling in tonight.
No problem.
All right, you take care. That's why witches, they always make the circle first to do their magic from. Symbols, geometry. Let's go out to 626.
Yo, Zach, can you hear me?
I hear you. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to be quick here. This is Marco from BeingJustified.com. I also have a YouTube channel that's growing pretty good right now. It's the Watchman Report. But let me just get into some quick definitions here. I'm going to go back to the Webster's 1820s dictionary when they kind of had a little bit more morals. But it says here, magic, the art or science of putting into action the power of spirits. And then while I'm saying this, Zach, pull up Gematriator and put in witchcraft. Okay, and I've always said, and I recently heard a...
I know exactly what it equals.
But I've always...
I definitely talked about witchcraft. Gematria, it's got the 666 in it when you use the Sumerian gematria. They did a lot of rituals with witches and Trump, if you remember. Witches were casting spells against Trump, and Donald Trump has almost the exact same gematria as witchcraft. All these things we covered over the years, but yeah, witchcraft's got the 666 in it with the Sumerian. Go ahead, Marco.
Yep. Oh, thank you. And 666, the number of the beast, is definitely not a good number, I'll tell you how much. But then let's look at this other definition here. I'm just going to do on a secular level right now, where it's magician, one skilled in magic, one that practices the black art, an enchanter, a necromancer, a sorcerer. Okay, so that's actually found in the scriptures. You see a couple things in the scripture of truth with sorcerer, consulter with familiar spirits, spirits of divination, magicians, astrologers. These are all people dealing with these sort of powers. And you had a caller earlier that she sounded Christian, but the point is this: for the real believer, it says in Ephesians, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood," okay, not the temporal world. It's the eternal world, that's the spiritual, which is unseen, okay. But it says here, but against principalities, because Satan, when he fell, he took a third of the stars of heaven with him, and that's 33% there, or 0.33. There goes that number again. But the point is this: it's Satan at the top. He's the god of this world. He's got princes under him, prince devils that govern over territories, like Prince of Persia, Prince of Grecia. They govern over physical, geological territories, and then they have powers underneath them. So there's a definite rank there. It's Satan at the top, his princes and powers underneath him, and the devil himself. He's the prince of the power of the air. He controls the actual element of air. Okay, and then it says here, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness, where? In high places. And that's where they're at right now.
Well done, Marco. Well said. I appreciate it. Great show, everybody. And that is the end. And we'll be back next week. Okay. So, again, every Wednesday night, TFR. For years we just did on the radio, but then it's probably been a year and a half, 2 years. Time flies. I've lost track of time. I'd guess it's been at least a year and a half or 2 years that I've been streaming TFR on Wednesday nights. Maybe it's even been longer than that. Time flies. But there's always a new person here, and they're like, what's with the commercials tonight? Again, the commercials are just part of the TFR thing, and no, it's not like a big money operation. I think monthly I get... And this is nothing against TFR because it's never been about money, but I think I make like 20. Thank you to the few people who sign up for and donate. I get like $20 a month from TFR. So, 12 to 15 hours a show. We're at a rate of about $1 an hour. And again, it's never been about money. But, I would have never needed a single penny to do the TFR radio show. I just was happy when he gave me a time slot in the evening time. And just another opportunity to get the word out. And for those of you who aren't familiar with TFR, I'm kind of the black sheep of the network. Personally, the network, Chris Gio runs the network, does a great job of allowing the speakers to speak their mind, but I really think some of them, since they're on Truth Frequency Radio, should do a better job of researching what is actually true, because it's definitely not politics. And so many people on the show, or that have shows, are just so caught up in the politics, man. It's like the whole truth community got sucked in by the whole Trump thing. But anyway, TFR is a cool thing, though, because it's ran by Chris Gio. It's not a for money thing. I think he probably loses money off Truth Frequency Radio, the amount of time he puts in. But again, he puts in the time because he knows there's not a lot of places online that are censorship free where they're letting people speak their mind and have an audience. And, again, it's censorship free. That's what's great about it. So every Wednesday night, I got my 3-hour time slot, and I can't control the commercials or the music. It's just all part of the regular thing. And I do want to get the music of the Truth Seekers on there, but yeah, Chris. I think Chris has less time these days than he did 5 years ago when I started it on the network, and so yeah. But hopefully, we'll eventually get the Truth Seeker music on there. So there's only enough hours in a day, and he pretty much runs the radio network out of his own, will to do it. Just have another place online where people can find information and figure out what's going on. And so I'll always be grateful to Chris Geo, some of the other hosts on the network. I really think, again, they got to stop pandering to the Matrix. But yeah, that's why there's commercials every week. It's just all part of the way the Truth Frequency Radio Network set up. I pretty much just have an instruction on my screen that works some weeks where it says, okay, commercial break now, talk now, commercial break now, talk now. So that's how simple it is over on my end. So, well, somebody says take a few more calls. I better not, because sweet lady, she's at the very end of her little break here. Her rotation stuff starts next week, and I told her after the show, some of her time. So I would like to take more calls, but I will be back. We'll do more live streams, and yeah, hopefully Rambo's all right. We didn't hear from Rambo tonight. I'll check in with Rambo. I'm hoping all is well with him, but yeah, we'll be back soon, Truth Seeker. Have a good night. Till next time.